You are listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network.
Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Surlana.
32 minutes, 21 seconds. 5-second tone followed by a 1-second pause.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Okay, gang, let's go.
From the space city called Houston, Texas, welcome to Spaceboy Universe, featuring Spaceboy and the lovely Surlana. So strap in and prepare for launch sequence.
Greetings and salutations. I'm Spaceboy.
Oh, I'm Surlana.
Like clockwork. And it is Spaceboy Universe time. It is April 15th, 2017, and tonight there is no guest because tonight we're going to be talking about pop culture, and we might take your calls if we're nice. As always, follow us on Twitter, that's at the SB Universe. Follow Surlana at Surlana. Follow me, Spaceboy at Spaceboy. And of course, follow the network that brings you all this wonderful content, and that's at the SBU Network. Also, you can check out our cast, or digital cast, that is, at SBUnetwork.com. Also, you can check it out at SpaceboyUniverse.com. There's just so many different ways to check it out. Of course, also on Spreaker, too. Remember to hashtag your tweets with hashtag SBUniverse and hashtag Space Cadets. Want to hang out with the Space Cadets? You can do so by going to SpaceboyUniverse.com or SBUnetwork.com and click on the dancing chat bubble in the player, and that'll get you in with all the cool kids. In addition to Twitter, you can find the universe on Facebook, Tumblr, SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube, and somewhere out there, iHeartMedia. We just haven't figured out where it's at. Just look for Spaceboy Universe. Speaking of YouTube, you can find more than the Spaceboy Universe archive of shows. There is video content from Spaceboy Music, video interviews, 2-Bit Gamers, and so much more. Can't catch the show live? No problemo. Take the SBU on the go with you via Spreaker, SoundCloud, iTunes, because we love to broadcast. And on that magical note, let's see if Surlana is back online. How are you, Surlana?
I'm still pretty much out of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was that hyper nap you took today.
If you hadn't woken me up because we have to do this, I'd probably still be asleep.
I think I gave you a bonus 30 minutes, too, of nap time.
Yes, that was decent of you.
No, I was kind of groggy, too. I was actually in the living room listening to ambient music and kind of just taking a little nap myself. I had to drink some orange juice to jumpstart me because I was like, really,
good.
Yeah, the orange juice really kicked into overdrive. So anyway, so how's things going over there now? I mean,
it's going. I'm just sort of waiting on you to do what you do.
Well, I've done my part. You ready to kick this into overdrive?
Sure. Ambient music.
Did I say ambient or ambient?
Ambient music.
Ambient. So somebody's already making fun of me, which is fine.
It's okay. It's family.
I'm the butt of most jokes, but that's cool.
That's all right. Family's doing it, so.
Yeah. So, all right. Why don't we start off with our first topic? Because I know that K28 is already listening.
He's right there.
Which you want to put out the news. It's good and bad news for K.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm torn about it. I just think Buc-ee's is a Texas institution, and it should stay in Texas, but they are going to try branching out of state in one location Daytona, Florida, east of I-95. I don't know if they deserve to have beaver nuts, a whole wall of candy, endless jerky selections, every manner of beaver souvenirs, branded clothing, hats, toys, food, backpacks, stickers, T-shirts, world-famous bathrooms, and it's a place much happier than Disney World, so I don't know if they really deserve it or not.
What? I don't understand. Why can't we just share the joy of Buc-ee's?
Because it's a Texas thing, and it should stay a Texas thing.
Well, I mean, Florida is like, another Texas, sort of. It's like where people go to retire, and...
No.
Why? You've never been to Florida?
Why would I ever go there?
I just don't understand this angst that you have against Buc-ee's being out of state. What if it was in Louisiana?
It's kind of, maybe if it was in the west part of Louisiana, close to the border, it would be understandable. Anyway,
I can understand the fact that you don't want Buc-ee's diluted like Walmart. Walmart was a great place at one time, during the late 80s, early 90s. And it's not quite the same. Just look at people at Walmart.
I haven't looked at that in a while.
Yeah, but I mean, let's keep Buc-ee small. And I guess Kay is still crying because he wants a Buc-ee's out that way and towards California. I wish they would litter them all across I-10, and for long haul trips. Because some of the restrooms we went to were not that pleasant on our trip to California that one year.
No, it's kind of terrifying.
So what's up with United?
Well, I don't fly. I've only flown at one point in my life once, and that was to get married to you and back. Mm-hmm. And that's all I need. I don't feel a need to fly anywhere.
I don't think we were on a United flight. I think we're
no, because I think it was Southwest or something like that.
Southwest,
because we were only going from here to Vegas.
I think we took a different airline to go to Vegas.
Small planes. They were really small, weren't they?
Yeah. If you get a chance, check out our wall on Twitter. I posted one where it has kind of a not Breaking Bad. Here I go mixing things up again. It has Negan from The Walking Dead with his bat Lucille walking the aisles down the plane, picking somebody that's going to get kicked off. That really sucks that the airlines do that in the sense of if they overbook. And then they start kicking people off the airline, and I've only read bits and pieces about that one guy that got kicked off but got back on. But I think it's really sucks.
It seems brutal. If I can't drive there, I'm not going.
Well, I do know that they start the bidding war off and let people, give them. They'll start off at $300 if they'll get off the plane, and then if nobody takes it, they'll up the thing to $800. I've heard several people have made a good sort of change out of doing that, when getting a few $1,000s, a room, complimentary meals. It almost sounds like Vegas in a way.
But what right do they have to manhandle you?
Oh, they surely don't. I mean, they were trying to force this one guy off, and I think it was a travesty.
I hope he sues them.
In the sue-happy United States we live in, I wouldn't be surprised if that doesn't happen. But in this case, you have a company, and it puts a black eye on them. Speaking of black eyes, you know who owns the internet as far as companies are concerned these days?
Wendy's.
It's been pretty funny because, for example, I guess McDonald's has decided to switch to real beef or something like that.
Yeah, well, what were they using before?
Yeah, exactly. And Wendy's took them down a peg. And
when McDonald's said something like, by 2015, most of our restaurants will have all fresh beef. And so when he says, so what you're doing now is all of your stores will have something else all of the time that's not beef. And and then they started trolling Hardee's, and then Hardee's blocked them on Twitter.
That's so funny. We got hooked into this via YouTube. Alonzo Larone. Yeah, he is funny. If you could check him out on YouTube, you must do, because what we were watching today, we were watching him
Read Gordon Ramsay's tweets.
Exactly. People were posting pictures of their food.
I enjoyed that. Just random people would take pictures of meals they've been served or they made or at school lunches and just tweet them at Gordon and says, "What do you think of this, Gordon?" And he would just, slam it.
Slam according the way Gordon does. But, some of those, I knew that they had to be fake pictures, but it's still the comments. And Alonzo I've never seen him laugh so hard through the whole thing that he covered on Gordon Ramsay. But, what are you expecting? It's Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah, that's what he's expected to do is yell at people and tear them down. That's he's built an empire off of that.
I mean, between that and watching Markiplier today, cracking up of that try not to laugh bit.
He's very giggly by nature.
He cannot hold his laughter in. I mean,
it doesn't take much to set him off. But that one about the pug, where they subtitled the pug screaming,
that even makes me tear up because
when I first saw him laughing at that, I just died. I was crying.
Yeah, so if you get a chance, check out Alonzo
Larone on Twitter,
and then Markiplier is another.
Markiplier.
Yeah, he's definitely something.
Both
to check.
Both of those are big YouTubers. They've got plenty of followers.
I was talking about Markiplier, and I told you what I like about him is he's genuine. There are definitely YouTubers out there that. At one time, they might have been all right, but, like Secure... Well, I'm sorry, I should have said that one.
Yeah. Well, we can talk about the brouhaha, right?
Oh, well, brouhaha in what way?
This big thing about YouTube's come down where PewDiePie was talking about it, but he's actually one of the ones that inadvertently pushed this forward where... Something about there's 5 racist posts on YouTube, so now they shut everybody down. They're saying
it was a rippling effect through YouTube.
You cannot monetize your videos until you get at least 10,000 views. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know if that was views or followers.
Well, I know that we are over 10,000 views on YouTube.
So I don't know if we can do that or not, but that has crippled some channels who are just struggling, who had already monetized and are trying to get going, and they're also watching content to see if you're out there putting forth content that is, I guess, hateful or disingenuous, or you're just outright making up stuff and getting money off it. So there was a backlash with a certain YouTube channel that really claims to keep its eye on UFO sightings.
Right.
And it was run by one guy, and it was always, voiced by one guy, and he has a Patreon, and he talks about what's happened there. So...
Well, it's difficult in the sense of he's just, trying to be politically nice about this whole thing. When we first started watching that channel, it was a lot of interesting content. And at one point, we were even considering bringing him on the universe to talk about things on his channel. And now here it is many months later, with what's been going on, and people reporting that he's just making a lot of this footage up just for the sake of shock value and to get views. And to...
It's theoretically possible.
Mm-hmm. And so, it's it's tough because, it ties into, I guess, my belief in what I've been saying lately a lot of. If you're going to disclose it, let's do it, or I'm really becoming more, I'm on the skeptic meter more than, the believer more. And,
of course, that hurts the UFO community because then you've got somebody who's been possibly scamming people with fake content, and that, of course, that hurts the credibility of other people in the field, I suppose. So it's almost like disinformation, but worse.
Right.
So I don't know what's going to happen there. I think the channel still exists.
Yeah, it
I think
still
it's still
does.
there.
Yeah, it still does. But
that guy though was making enough money off his advertising, and I guess maybe Patreon to support himself.
Mm-hmm. But there are others out there on YouTube that are still managing to survive. And for example, like the interview we did last week with David Murray, the 8-bit guy, he is successful and continuing to grow in popularity.
But he has interesting content that people really enjoy, and he's archiving older technology that has long gone, and he'll highlight things that you've never heard of from back in the day, and he feels like doing that is a way to preserve it. It'll always be in a video somewhere, so you could go back and see what that was all about.
Once again, it goes back to the thing I was saying about being genuine. David is very genuine, and he comes across that way, and I think that's an appeal to how he presents his videos, and people are interested, like us. We enjoy watching his
And you're
videos.
not just saying that because he featured your music.
Well, I didn't want to just say that. That's true. I'm busted here. And it's on the Twitter wall, but in a recent episode where he is talking about the VIC-20 Commodore, the Super Expander cartridge,
EEPROM.
and the EEPROM, and memory. But he features 2 of my songs on there, and I thought it was really cool because I just sent him the album, not expecting anything. I just said, "Hey, look, this is some music.
Thank you.
This is a thank you. This is some of the music I do," and then he responded, well, "Hey, would you mind if I use this or not?" And
He likes it.
Apparently he likes some of the Spaceboy music, so I'm excited and jazzed that somebody I've enjoyed watching on YouTube and actually use some of my music, and so if you get a chance, check out that video that's posted on the Twitter wall.
I also have it on my Facebook wall.
And tell David thank you for supporting Spaceboy music and Spaceboy Universe. So, really nice guy. So
You're also on the Internet Movie Database now.
Yes, there's another thing.
But under your real name.
Yeah. So I've been working with Amanda Diane, who's been on the show before, almost last year sometime, I guess, November or October, in that time period.
Yeah, it was October.
Yeah, and actress here in Houston, Texas, and she's doing her movie called The Cabin, and I guess
horror movie.
Yeah, horror movie, and so I was able to write some music for her for the movie, and so it's going to be in a movie that she's doing, and so what does that mean? IMDb has my information on it. I need to clean it up. I got to put a picture up there and stuff. So maybe add some other things that I've been associated too with. But I'm really excited because it's even though it's under my name, I'm sure I can go back and add the Spaceboy stuff on there, and so people know. So yeah, exciting times for this music, and it's always cool like that. So
I was very pleased and proud of you. Maybe someday I'll accomplish something, but I wouldn't hold my breath.
What else we got here?
Oh, hold on. I got something for you, because I know how much you like the zombies.
I do like zombies. Do you need a second or two before
I'm just waiting for the website to come up. Okay, get this. This is from Science Daily News, website. Zombie apocalypse would wipe out humankind in just 100 days, students calculated. So there's a study they did just this January of this year at the University of Lancashire. Students got together and they studied how long would it take a real zombie infection to spread globally. They said it would take 100 days. Less than 300 people would remain alive globally. And after this 100 days, the survivors would be outnumbered 1,000,000 to 1 by zombies. Mm-hmm. And they worked on the assumption that a zombie would have a 90% probability of turning others into zombies. So they factor in humans killing zombies and human reproduction rates. So the world's population would eventually be able to recover, but it would leave us in shambles. And assuming that a zombie can find one person each day with a 90% chance of infecting the victims, so they used that. That was some of their parameters. They suggested that by day one, there would be 273 remaining human survivors, and we'd be outnumbered 1,000,000 to 1 by zombies. So it's a very scientific finding. You know, they were using this. They investigated the spread of the virus using the SIR model, an epidemiological model that helps describe how the virus would spread through our population. Mm-hmm. So it's very scientific. They split the population into 3 categories by saying those susceptible to infection, those that are infected, and those have either died or recovered. So they consider the rates at which these infections spread and then die off as individuals come into contact with other. So it was very in-depth, very interesting, and they said, you know, without the ability for us to fight back against zombies, the students calculated that if global populations were equally distributed in less than a year, the human race might be wiped out. But yeah, it was really interesting. It's they have papers published on this, so I'll tweet this out in case anybody wants to read more about it.
Mm-hmm. That just reminds me that the season ended for The Walking Dead fairly recently, and it ended where, okay, you know, tonight I'm going to tell everybody there will be spoilers. Negan didn't get killed. Sasha did, but you know, Sasha, the character she plays, or the woman that plays it, is going off to another TV series, and hopefully, I have mixed feelings about Star Trek Discovery. You know that.
I'm not going to watch it.
I just can't bring myself to pay for a subscription to watch that, and of course, you know.
Yeah.
I know you've kind of stopped watching Big Bang Theory, but I still watch it.
Oh, I'll probably go back, catch up on it, just so I can have a complete, yeah.
And so, you know, I can't think of any other. Well, I am watching another CBS show, and you'll roll your eyes every time I see it. I'm binge watching Navy CSI.
Still?
Yeah, I'm in like the 11th season. There's like,
God, how many flipping seasons are there?
I think they're up to 14.
Jeez Louise.
I mean, I literally watch at least an episode before I go to bed. I watch an episode as I'm getting ready to go to work. I'll watch an episode at lunch. I mean, I've never.
I kind of wish I had something I could watch like
that.
But
You know, considering how many episodes, and there's usually about 24 episodes in a season.
Episodes?
I'm sorry, it's got me all...
Episodes.
Yeah, it's tongue-tied. Anyway, so there's just so many shows. I mean, it's good. I mean, it's been kind of like... And you can watch this show, depending on... Drop into the show, because it's been on so long, and get into it. And, I mean, because you've had characters die... I don't think really anybody's left. I mean, it's just a good show. I'm kind of glad I got into it. The show before that I kind of got into it was another CBS show called Madam Secretary, which had Tia Leone. And, of course, I think they canceled that show, which irked me beyond belief. But, you know, whatever. So I'm trying to get through the CSI show so I can go back and watch... the Marvel thing that's been posted, the Iron Fist, which is a Marvel thing.
I've heard that that's not that good.
I heard it's not that good either, but considering that the Defenders is coming up, which has that character, Daredevil, and Luke Cage. Oh, I like that show. That's a show to check out, is Luke Cage. He is he is just so cool. And I have a friend that kind of reminds me of him. And so it's definitely a cool show. But anyway, so, yeah, my binge-watching thing has been consumed by this Navy CSI show. And I've just been enjoying it. And so hopefully I can get through this soon and start watching more than just the one show I've been kind of trucking along with. So,
That's cool.
Yes. Speaking of Netflix, we'll talk about that later. I'm sorry.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, I don't want to get into that one because that is part of our topic for much later.
We've got to go by the board here.
Yes, we must go by the board. The board that we go by. Real quick, the final season of Star Trek Rebels will be coming up this fall, and there was a trailer out there. I think I posted that onto the wall too. I'm kind of excited because this kind of leads up to kind of almost like the Rogue One / New Hope.
Oh, yeah.
By the end of this fourth season, it should tie into all that together to put it into one nice box. Furthermore, I'm hoping that out of this Star Trek Rebels that we get something that plays along with the new Star Wars movies, which there's a new Star Wars trailer out there.
Oh my gosh, the entire internet is just Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars.
Star Wars gasms is out there. It's just rippling through the universe. But, it's going to be good. December will be here soon enough, and we'll get another Star Wars thing out of it. And and then I'm just kind of curious after this next Star Wars, what's going to be next year, because it's kind of in between, because they did the Star Wars story Rogue One. So what's going to be this next movie? Is it going to be the Han Solo Chronicle thing, or something? Because I think they're filming on that right now. The Han Solo, early years. It kind of takes place before he as a younger Han Solo. Danny Glover is in it. Plays Lando Calrissian. Tongue-tied again.
Nice theater, right?
Yeah, but it should be all good. And it's just a good time for Star Trek nerds, going back to when I was a kid, that was the biggest thing that you could think of next to cheese coming out on the big screen. So, all right, Surlana. Anything else you want to add to the thing? Oh, speaking of, I was going to say cake. Everybody, it is not Surlana's birthday today. That's coming up some part next week. But let's wish Surlana a happy birthday. She's a spry 21-year-old.
Whatever. Nobody cares.
21 plus. And, wish her a happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Or don't. That's fine.
Happy birthday, Surlana.
Whatever.
Don't you love it?
No.
No?
No. Probably why I'm so cranky.
Why? Because you're going to be a year older?
Yeah, it's a big deal. And I feel like I haven't done anything with my life and blah, blah, blah.
What? You're part of the universe. Everybody loves you. You're the expert researcher. You got your own show going on Fridays, the first month of, Friday. Speaking of the next show for you, Tea and Sarcasm, Sweet Tea and Sarcasm, it's going to be
I have given her strict orders. I said, I don't want anything from you, but I said, you need to get well. I'm going to come to your house, and I'm going to beat the sickness out of you. So we've already got it kind of, since it's going to be Cinco de Mayo, the May 5th, we've decided she is going to give me her patented margarita recipe. And I don't know if she's going to do it, but I am going to try to make the margarita live while we're on air. And I'm thinking I might get our good camera set up and try to make it in here. I think we need a new blender. Every time you make something in our blender, it just pees all over the counter. So I might have to get a new blender.
Bad blender.
Yeah.
Bad blender.
It does. So I'm thinking I may make the margarita live and we drink it while we talk about the Fifth Element and stuff like that. So
speaking of Fifth Element, when is Valerium?
I don't know. I need to look that up. But I know that the Fifth Element is going to be rebroadcast in theaters
next month.
2 days next month.
Man, it's a crazy month of May. Speaking of which, before we go into our break here, there's a lot of stuff happening next month, and we got Comic Palooza to deal with, and
we're not ready. We don't got nothing for that.
Well, we've been working on a few other things to ensure the financial freedom of Spaceboy Universe.
Yes. I don't know if you even want to talk about that's not set up yet. Let's just hold off on that.
Just know that we're working on some stuff behind the scenes to secure a long, long time for the universe.
Yeah, and we're going to hopefully have some wonderful incentives for you so you can get access to exclusive content.
Speaking of exclusive content or an item for tonight, now I saw at the time, thank you, I just wanted to plug this one last thing is that make sure to listen to all the way to the end of the show. During the show, I'm going to give you a number. And when you give that number, you're going to have to email it to stuff@spaceboyuniverse.com. That's stuff@spaceboyuniverse.com. We're going to give away a gift, but the only way you're going to get the gift is if you can take the number I'm going to give you tonight towards, you won't even know when it happens. You'll just get the email, and then you'll have to email us. All emails must be put in to the show by 1 o'clock in the morning, or our time, that is. Mm-hmm. So that is the deal. Listen for the number, email it to stuff@spaceboyuniverse.com, and get it to us before 1 o'clock Central Standard Time to win the prize. So with that magical note, it is time for a break. You are listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU Network. Don't go anywhere.
This is author Jordan Root. You are listening to the Spaceboy Universe.
This is K28, and I'm listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Hi, y'all. This is Lori calling from Texas, and I love listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Hey, this is Dave Cruz, host of Beyond the Strange, and you're listening to Spaceboy Universe.
This is Wendy. I'm listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Hey, y'all. This is Lorelei DeLille. I listen to Spaceboy Universe. Don't you? Tell your mom and them I said hi.
The epic battle begins this Friday. Direct from ringside at Laser Death Melt. It's Bot vs. Bot in Galaxy's 2-ton weight championship, where your challenger, Good Bot, will face the reigning champion, Bad Bot. You're terminated. Reserve seating starting at $30. 2-drink minimum, where ladies don't get in free. This is an SBU production. You're listening to Spaceboy Universe.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU Network.
Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Surlana.
Ever seen an extraterrestrial? It can be hard to believe they exist unless you've seen one for yourself. What if I told you I've seen them my whole life, but have never had a witness who shared the encounter with me? Now, what if I told you I saw 4 of them, 2 with blue skin, and there are over 20 witnesses to this CE5 event? My new book, The Blue Beings, Visitation at the UFO Conference, documents actual accounts from real witnesses, many of which have gone on record to attest to this otherworldly reality. Be a part of the quantum paradigm shift that is taking place right now. Go to johnpolkmedia.com to get your copy of The Blue Beings, Visitation at the UFO Conference, on sale right now at johnpolkmedia.com. That's JOHNPOLK media.com.
Hello Space Cadets. It is announcer Savannah. I want to tell you that as a dedicated member of the SBU team, you always want to look your best. Do it in a Spaceboy Universe t-shirt. Get yours at spaceboyuniverse.com by clicking the banner on the website.
Greetings, Space Cadets! Let's see what's in the sky tonight in the Spaceboy Universe. Tonight, in the eastern sky, we have Spaceboy Universe rising above the horizon in glorious splendor. And in the west, we can see Surlana's Majoris, which is visible at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, just below the K28 belt. So keep your eyes on the sky and listen to Spaceboy Universe.
Yeah, it's a good thing we don't live in Russia, Surlana. Man, them Russians are really crazy drivers, according to the videos we've seen.
Yeah, and yeah, thanks for turning me on. The ones that get me is, and I don't know if they're all drunk or what, is because ones that will stop the car and then go get in front of it and then lay across the top of their hood.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, look, you just hit me. Like, you idiot. He's got a camera on you.
Insurance fraud, I believe.
Yeah.
I guess, you can blame the Russians, I guess, for putting cameras in their car like that because it wasn't really popular here in the United States, but it's building.
It's a good idea.
I think it's a great idea.
For covering your own.
I need a new one. I had one, and it was a cheap one that I bought. I need to just buy a nice one, considering I do drive a lot.
If you afford it, I'd do front and rear camera. I mean, I know you could give a backup camera, but that only shows you what you need to see to back up. But have one pointing out and one pointing forward.
Right. Maybe something in the near future. We'll see. But, something to record. Hey, I just want to I know we'll do housekeeping at the end of the show, but I just want to point out so people know that we have a show next week, in fact, the 22nd and the 29th. But as of May 6th, we're going to take off. It's a vacation day here at the Universe.
Well, it's also prep.
And, prep for Comic Palooza. So
that's going to be...
It's kind of like, what is it, like a teacher's workday kind of thing?
Yeah, that's going to be like a marathon, like being at a telethon.
Yeah, we're going to have to,
for 72 hours.
So the May 6th, we'll be off. But... the upside of that is, like Surlana was saying, her show, Sweet Tea and Sarcasm, will be on Friday. And that way you'll be able to at least get some wonderful action from Surlana and Suki. I can always get that wrong. Suki. Yeah. As they explore sarcasm like no one else can. And drink some margaritas. I might be in here, and as long as I don't...
you'll be in here because you have to run it.
As long as I don't cough or anything, right?
Yeah, don't drink anything.
All right. So, Surlana, it is Pop Culture Night here at the Universe, and which is another way of saying it's an easy show. But we get to talk about things in pop culture that we enjoy watching or talk about and sing and all that good stuff. So you want to spin the wheel, and where do we start?
Well, the thing that we had been waiting for was, of course, Better Call Saul.
Hopefully the broadcast doesn't break down, because every time we start to talk about Better Call Saul...
Last year sometime.
Yeah, we had a dickens of a time trying to record. Was that for... Data Bytes, man.
Oh, it was so hard. But that was before we had this kind of internet connection that we have now, which is part of the reason we are on what we're on. So that... I mean, we might spend more time on this than you probably anticipated, but that's fine. It's just a rich, nuanced experience to watch this show. It's like watching a mini movie each episode because of the quality of the editing, the cinematography, the lighting, the color. Everything on it is layered. It has meaning. There's things you won't get the first time you watch it because you're engrossed in the story, and there might be some Easter eggs in there, and it'd be really subtle. But I had completely forgot about Jimmy's story because I think it opened with Mike's story.
Right, and
I was so into that.
First off, tonight there might be a few spoilers, so deal with it.
It's been out.
Yeah, it's been
over a
week. So our policy is we let it some time go by, but it's not going to. I think it's just you're just going to enjoy the show. That's all. You enjoy Spaceboy Universe because we like to spoil the secrets sometimes. But what I liked about this show, and especially when you talk about Mike's character,
and this is the opening episode of the season. It's called Maple,
and is the use of Mike driving his station wagon to get away from what he was going to do last season, and coming to a complete stop, and in the background. You could see clearly that there's a storm coming in, and it was like, is this like some kind of like foreshadow of the future?
They got lucky. There was an actual storm coming. They're like, oh, let's just keep that in, you know.
But yes, go ahead.
I'm looking at, of course, my favorite site, AV Club, to break down TV episodes. Mm-hmm. The writer on this article for this episode says, for someone like him, the article writer, watching men like Mike. Watching the man at his unhurried business matched by the deliberate pace of the writing and editing, which accept that it's going to take as long as it's going to take on a kind of delirious high. He's talking about when Mike found that note on his car, and then he drove like a bat out of heck out of there to get away from there, and he stops and does a cursory look at his car and then takes it to a junkyard and then proceeds to piece by piece tear the car apart looking for a tracker device, which he did not find the first time.
Which I'm surprised that he did not find it in the gas cap, because, you know, that would have been my first guess is in a gas cap. And the only reason I bring that up is because of all the cop drama movies I've seen, or spy movies, and of placing a device somewhere on a car to track it.
Well, I listened to the Better Call Saul Insider podcast for this episode, and they had
ding.
Well, they had the guy who plays Mike, Jonathan Banks, on there with some of the writers and producers and, of course, the creator. And they said that the gas cap was actually made from a 3D printer.
Wow.
Yeah. And that shot where they put a camera inside of the actual gas,
looking
up towards Mike from the gas cap perspective, like you're inside the tank looking out, which is crazy shot. And the intensity of that scene where no words are spoken. Mm-hmm. There's no dialogue. He's just deliberately going through this car, piece after piece, and they kept talking about the movie The French Connection. I guess maybe where they did the same thing.
Who is the main star of The French Connection?
Don't know. I never saw it.
Gene Hackman.
Now I have to watch it. So they did that, and the tracking device that he goes and gets to track the tracking device, because he replaces it with his own. Right. Is also 3D printed.
So
prop.
Yeah, because that device looked pretty cool, though.
Yeah, he said he 3D printed several of them for them to go. They wanted it to look military.
Right, and it definitely had a militaristic look.
And they had to go back and lay in digitally the screen, the animation on the screen.
Well, you know, with this show, Mike is such an interesting character, and it really kind of fleshes out his backstory before Breaking Bad. And
he doesn't do ethical things, you know. No. He breaks the law, but he seems to have his own code of ethics.
Exactly.
You know, I'm trying to think who could you compare him to. I don't know, like Dexter maybe, but he doesn't go around doing bad things for the heck of it. He has a reason, a deliberate reason, but he's not an angel. So I don't know if he's like an anti-hero, but the more you watch him and the more you say what a great actor, what a great character this is, you're into it, and the more pissed off I get at Walter White. Because we know what happens to Mike, and it's just not fair.
And what gets me is, as we're watching Mike through these different shows and seeing what an expert he is at just everything, and covers all his bases.
How do you outsmart Mike?
It really paints Walter White as he got lucky that he killed Sorry, spoiler. He killed Mike. And but going back, to the show, one, it felt good to be back on the horse again to watch this show. And the Mike story, I think, was the more powerful out of the more of the A and the B story of the show.
Even though because the fans kind of spoiled it, it's ratcheting it up and it's doing it at this slow, deliberate pace, and you're like, it's just creating angst inside you because, they were thinking, who on earth is going to get a one-up on Mike? Who on earth is one step ahead of Mike Ehrmantraut? And of course, the fans guessed it before the second season ended. I'm thinking British terms, and of course, it's going to be Fring.
So, real quick, let's touch upon the man that has his name on the show, and that's Jimmy or Saul. But
the whole episode started out. The first frame, so to speak, of this whole show started out in the present. And anytime we're in the present timeline, the show is in black and white.
Yeah, interesting.
Because I'm going to go out on a limb, and I've said this before. Saul from Breaking Bad and Jimmy McGill in Better Call Saul lives this colorful life. It's not drab. They're using color every chance they get as a symbolism. And when he was in Breaking Bad, he wore these god-awful color schemes, but he was happy and he was a colorful individual, and he was sort of tiptoeing around the law and using the law to his advantage to get some despicable people out of jail, and but now he's on the run and he's incognito and he's living this dull life as the manager of Cinnabon in an obscure mall in the middle of America. It's like all the color has leached out of his life.
In other words, his
everything's
essence,
in black and white.
His essence is just drained out of the.
He's got to live like you either do this or you don't do that. You keep your mouth shut or do you talk? So I'm guessing that's the symbolism they're using to show how different his life is. And he had a moment where Saul came back out, like it was torn out of his soul, where he's in the mall on break and he's eating his lunch on a bench in the mall, and there's this kid with a coat that came running through. He's clearly stolen something, and the cops are after him, and the kid ducks into this little photo booth and pulls the curtain. It's right across from where Jimmy McGill is sitting, or Saul.
All right.
By the time he's Saul, and the cops come and ask him, "Did you see which way?" And he's like about to wet his pants because it's the cops. And, if they ever catch him, he's going down. Find out who he is and what he did. And he kind of just quietly points or looks at that thing, and they bust the kid, and they grab the kid and they walk out and they go, "Thanks, mister." And I'm like, and so the kid's like, I don't forget what he said, but he said something mean to Jimmy or Saul, and he sits up from his bench and he goes, "Don't say anything. Get a lawyer."
Right,
it's like he couldn't
his former
suppress
life.
himself.
And then, of course, not too long after that, once he goes back to work, he passes out at work.
Yeah, at the Cinnabon.
And then that fades into elsewhere. What was your take on him painting over the rainbow?
There's got to be some symbolism there. Now, the obvious explanation is they went to rent this building together.
A former dentist office.
It's a former dentist office, and apparently it was catered to children, and it was bright yellow walls. They had a big rainbow on the wall, so they're trying to get it to look, serious and legit. So that is Jimmy painting over the colorful, trying to get things normalized so he and Kim could be taken seriously, I guess, as lawyers. But he got Kim that big Mesa Verde account by doing something very illegal and underhanded, and she knows it, but I think she feels like she was owed that anyway. That was her case. She found it for her company.
She made it, and the way they treated her at McGill, and what was the name of the Hamlin
and McGill or something like that, or Hamlin, yeah. But he I guess she's letting that slide because she's like, this is my case anyway. But you could see that she's starting to get to the point where she's probably second guessing being associated with him, even just sharing a space with him, because he's out doing his own thing, and he got confronted by that officer from the Air Force or something.
The video he did with, to drum up business.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm going to take you to jail, and da-da-da-da, I don't know if that got resolved or not, and then...
No, I think this is going to come back and some way bite him too.
But we're anticipating what Fring's role is. What's Mike going to find out from this tracking device?
At the very least, Fring's role is to provide tasty, delicious chicken.
But wasn't Mike like Fring's muscle man?
Yes, at some point. Somehow these are all going to converge.
He intimidates Walter White.
Yeah.
And takes Jesse under his wing. Jesse.
All right. But anything else you want to add to the...
I like listening to the Insider podcast because they'll tell you details like how they shot certain things. They actually used a drone for the first time to capture some scenes,
which was really cool. I like that.
Really cool.
Yeah, that's when Mike is tearing apart his car to find this tracking device, and
overhead shot.
Overhead shot. Yeah, it was very amazing. It was a really great shot.
And just some practicalities on we were at this location and this happened and we didn't know what to do, so we did this, that, and the other. And they're talking about how they got around that when they were in the mall. There was one store that didn't want to open early so they could do their shooting, and it was a big store mall, and it was right in the middle of the shot in the background, and they couldn't really avoid it. So they came back one day during normal business hours and took big high-res still photos of it, and then they used whatever techniques you use to make billboards and blew up a billboard-sized photo of it onto the set and backlit it and slightly blurred it out so you can't see all that security fence guarding that was over the unopened store. They just didn't feel like opening their store early for the crew. But all the other stores in that mall did. And it's a mall in Albuquerque. They didn't actually film in Nebraska. Where Saul is supposed to be is he's hiding out in Nebraska in a Cinnabon.
Yeah, it kept it close to where they were shooting. So,
and of course Kim's character is supposed to be from Nebraska, so you're wondering if he's doing that in a way to be close to her. And of course, we didn't really talk about Chuck. Chuck has secretly audio cassette taped Jimmy's confession. Of course, the way Jimmy said it, he goes, "What, you want me to confess to you that I went down to I stole this, and then I went down and made these copies, and da-da-da." He knows how implausible what he's done is, but he still did it. So I don't think that's going to stand up in court, but Chuck seems to act like there's another way for him to use it.
Yes, he seemed, because his partner came in over to the house and he's going down this list. Well, you can't do this, you can't use it for that. But it seems like his brother Chuck has some kind of...
But see, he's as diabolical as Jimmy. Runs in the family, apparently.
I think that there's just some kind of thing where he just can't see Jimmy being legit to him.
And he must stop him, like he's a superhero and Jimmy's the villain.
So that is true. But, wow, man, this segment has gone pretty quick.
Well, I knew it was because it's just a good show.
And so I guess I'm torn as far as, let's cover Archer real quick.
Yeah, it's not a whole lot to say about that. Archer Dreamland, slow start to a new and farewell season. This is their last season. So he was shot, apparently, at the end of whatever the number of last season.
Last season, yes.
And they're bringing that over to that he is in a hospital, and I guess he's in a coma. And he's having this elaborate dream. So we're seeing inside what's going on in his dream. And it looks like they're back in the 1940s or something.
Yeah, film noir.
Film noir, that type of thing.
my favorite time period as far as movies concerned. Maltese Falcon being one of my favorite.
Never saw it.
Yeah, so a good movie, by the way. If you get a chance, read it or watch it. Yeah, it's a book too. Read it too. But the book or the movie is got Burt Lancaster. What am I saying? It's got Bogey in it, and so I love Bogart movies. So anyway, yeah. So it has this 1940s look to it. And it has the usual cast of characters that you see in pretty much all of the seasons that have been in past. And as Surlana was saying, this is the last season for Archer. I would love to see a live-action Archer. Mm-hmm. It just seems like it would be a great movie. Sorry to see it at the end, but as we've discussed, I was telling Surlana the other day, I said, it's had a good run. I mean, it's been a good show, and the creative writer behind it goes back to a show that we used to watch on Adult Swim called Frisky Dingo.
Oh, that was bizarre.
It was bizarre, and if you get a chance to search out some episodes about that Frisky Dingo,
but without that, we would never have the phrase Barnaby. I smell crickets.
So, what was the other line about Arizona? This is
why we can never go back to Arizona.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you like the comedy in Archer, you'll definitely like the bizarreness of Frisky Dingo.
Some of the same voice actors are on there. So.
Yeah. So you'll recognize one of the characters is the lead. Xander Cruz is one of the main characters on Frisky Dingo. But it's been a great watch on Archer. I hoped it was going to last as long as it did, and it did live up to its expectation. And with every good thing, sometimes an end must come. So we'll see how the rest of the Archer season plays out. Now, Surlana, I'm going to go ahead and hit us into the next break. You want to tell our audience what we can expect for our next half hour coming up?
Why should we do that?
Well, just to give them hope of entertainment. Since she's lost her beat, we'll probably talk a little.
You never do that before.
Rick and Morty. We'll talk a little Rick and Morty coming up after.
And
we're
going to talk about two things I'm really more of an expert at.
Okay. All right. We'll see how much of an expert you are. So.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network.
Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Surlana.
And now, here's a
Blast from the Past.
I'm sure you might have that information, do you?
I don't have that information because as much as I enjoy this subject, I'm between loads of laundry, so I don't have a lot of time.
Hey, Surlana, if they want to become a friend of the show on Facebook, what do they need to do?
Well, I mean, they're going to have to pass a few tests. We're thinking about enforcing that, that American Ninja Warrior thing. That might be a good one to see who's really worthy and really wants it bad enough.
I turn to you, Surlana, and ask you, how does it look out there? Are we actually getting people listening that, compared to last year?
Well, last year when we had no such thing as a webcast, when no one was listening.
What I meant was...
So things are looking up.
Surlana, would you like to start off by saying a few words to kick us off, or
like, dear Lord, please bless this webcast that kind of words, or
it means love when your wife turns over in bed and she looks at you and she says, "You know what? I just want to punch you in the face."
I just want to punch you in the face.
Just because you're just so good looking.
If you do not call in within the next 2 minutes, I'm going to talk about cultural imperialism theory. 713-701-5214, or I'm going to talk about theory. Yes, call in with your favorite pie recipe. We'll put it on the internet. And apparently Spaceboy doesn't like my diet iced tea.
Oh, that is
I'm not crazy
nasty.
about it. It's not what I thought it was going to be either. But life is full of disappointments.
That's like finding leaves on the ground in a puddle and then boiled to make some kind of drink that.
Yeah, that's their new fall line: boiled leaves in a puddle.
Well, that's exactly how. I love tea, but that was just nasty. E.T.
the extraterrestrial.
God, no!
Where did that come from? I must be thinking of.
I'm gonna say it. Is he the extra testicle?
I did not mean that. I think our audience knows better than that. I think it just didn't come across correctly.
I don't feel well.
In fact, I've heard that they want to use the voice of. Why do I always get a brain fart when I'm like right on?
Because you're under pressure, and you're live, and there could be lots of people listening.
Who did Willy Wonka? Gene Hackman? No, not Gene Hackman.
Oh my gosh! I would pay money to see Gene Hackman as Willy Wonka.
Wrong Gene. Anyway,
somebody call Hollywood.
So Gene.
Oh my God!
Is it Gene Wild?
Gene Hackman.
Gene Wild. Hey, tune in here.
Wait, no, I want to write this down.
Gene Wilder? Is it Wild?
Yes,
there.
dear.
That is some good stuff, let me tell you. And it definitely goes back in time. And Blast from the Past always makes us both laugh. And Surlana gives me this, like a married couple, you know, why don't we do those anymore? Or why aren't we funny like that anymore?
Why don't we have fun anymore?
What? We're always having fun. Anyway, we're moving on.
Looking at me.
So, surprise episode April 1st.
Yeah, nobody
Adult
took
Swim,
it seriously.
Yeah, nobody took it. Well, they were. Adult Swim was running episodes of the previous seasons of Rick and Morty. And as, I guess, an April Fool's thing, they premiered what people... They still don't know if it's actually the premiere or not.
Because it was on April Fool's.
April Fool's Day. And which, incidentally, the last time we saw any kind of Rick and Morty, we had Mr. Poopy Pants predicting that the show would be back
about a year and a half.
And which is funny because April 1st was exactly a year and a half later before we got another new episode of Rick and Morty. So, do you want to start?
First of all, why in the world does it take a year and a half
to
make an animated TV series?
First off, if you know anything about Adult Swim when it comes to their programming, Venture Brothers is a good example.
Venture Brothers is still way worse.
Yeah.
They'll go 2 years before they have anything come out new.
And so, that show has been... I think, in my mind, I'm probably ready for just one more season of Venture Brothers.
Yeah, let's end that chapter.
End that chapter because it's just way too long between seasons.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's bad enough that cable does this 13 episodes, and then we get a new season that following year. But it really sucks when you have something that's really good, like Rick and Morty. And it takes, a little bit longer than a year. So let's talk about the so-called premiere episode of Rick and Morty.
Well, again, we don't know if it's for real because it aired on April 1st.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my gosh, the theories that have come out about what the show's true nature is, what the show is really about. I mean, this is a strangely dense and complex show for all that it's just a cartoon that's on Adult Swim.
It's not a simple cartoon.
It started out as a parody, an animated parody of Back to the Future, Doc and Marty. Of course, they had to change the names, and Doc is now
Rick Sanchez.
Morty's grandfather, and they have a strange complex. He seems to care about no one, except maybe a couple of friends he has that are from other planets, but he doesn't seem to care about his family. We get some insight into his brain. He's in galactic prison, and they're scanning his brain, but we don't know if those memories were false because the alien was saying, "Hey, you can't lie in a memory." He goes, "You can if it's a fake memory that I'm making up as I go." And it's like, "Mayday, Mayday! We never left the Shoney's." Yeah, it always had this thing where they were sitting together in a Shoney's and having
coffee.
Yeah.
And then, of course...
Does Shoney's still exist anywhere?
I don't know. Maybe some of our space cadets can let us know if there's a Shoney's out there. Yes, Robert, indeed. Circus pants. Eventually Rick starts manipulating, his memories. And
he says they were looking for the lines of code that created his portal gun, and he faked it. He said those weren't code; that was a virus that I can use to, get through the brain scanning software you're using on me and transfer my mind to your body. And he goes, but I can't take all my knowledge with me; it won't fit. So I'm leaving behind my 3 years of improv comedy. my fear of wicker furniture, and my decision to almost buy a hat. And he starts jumping bodies to escape, and he makes it into another Rick's body because the Council Ricks came to assassinate him because he was the Rickest Rick of all, and he was too dangerous. And it's just a strange world that this whole show lives in. And you have the Galactic Empire coming to Earth, and Earth is now part of this federation, And what was interesting about is when these aliens take over Earth and they're running the Earth now, they change the currency to a world currency called Fed Creds. And there's this robot that goes around and scans you, and it's like, I've diagnosed you as clinically depressed. Here's some pills. You will need a job to pay for these pills. You'll be assigned one if you go here. And, so that's how Jerry finally gets a job. and they're like, hey, he's bringing home a 6-pill figure now. Because nobody eats dinner. They have pills.
Right.
But I think that was interesting. I wonder if there's a deeper meaning to, like, themes about world currency and being signed jobs, and there's more dense layers of meanings there that might just be a sight gag for us. But thank you, Kay. Robert.
Yeah, I was just gonna say Bob is confirming that that Shoney's is still around, and I think he just put a link on there for locations of where they're at.
There was a Shoney's, and I didn't go in it, but there was a Shoney's at the foot of the bridge in the heart of Bossier, coming off I-20. And my friend Holly and her husband and their friends and relatives went there after we went bowling, and I was so sick because I'd had all these White Russians at the bowling alley, and I couldn't even go in there.
Wait, you got toasted off of White Russians?
Well, it has milk in it too, so I don't do well with that.
Yeah.
So I was
lactose,
drunk, and sick to my stomach.
Oh my goodness,
I couldn't even get out of the car to go in there, so I just laid in the back of their car while they went into Shoney's, because for some reason after you had a night of drinking, you want breakfast. I never understood that, but
40 tacos.
Yeah. Like I told you, the closest I've ever been to being legitimately drunk was the second time we went to Joshua Tree. And I got right up to drunk and stopped. I was like, if I drink anymore, I don't think I'm going to have any more control of my body and what I'm saying. I need to quit. So I did.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, Rick and Morty, let me see. I didn't have anything pulled up on Rick and Morty here. But there's all kind of fan theories about the true nature of the show. And what came out at the end of it was, Rick said, he goes, I'm not driven by my anger or the loss of my family or to avenge anyone's death. He goes, it's all about that Szechuan sauce, Morty. If it takes 9 seasons or 97 years, I'm going to get that Mulan teriyaki Szechuan sauce. And that was the gag of the show, where he shows this alien while they're still in Rick's brain. He drives them to a McDonald's, and it was in the 90s or something. It's when Mulan came out.
Right.
And it was a tie-in with a movie where McDonald's had a special Mulan dipping sauce for their McNuggets. Mm-hmm. And he has the alien try it, and he goes, this is delicious sauce.
It was great. It was delicious. And
I didn't even know it existed.
I remember back in the day when Mulan came out, and they were promoting this as a dipping sauce. And, it's teriyaki style, and with those chicken nuggets, those were awesome. I just posted something on our Twitter wall in reference to this, so you could check it out. And it was really funny how plugging this particular sauce that's no longer available. I mean, dipping sauce from 1998. And I don't understand. I'm reading a part here that it's now going for more than $99K on eBay. Who in their right mind is going to
saves dipping sauce from the 90s?
Yeah, late 90s. I mean, who in their
they found that at the bottom of a closet somewhere in some old backpack.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane, but it's causing a major backlash, and I think it is getting to McDonald's.
Oh, it is?
Mm-hmm. To bring it back or bring something back. They're famous about having a product people really enjoy and then just taking it away.
Well, apparently there's a petition out there to bring that sauce back. And so, it is insane. This goes back to like the Wendy's stain, that's insane. And then, dealing with this McDonald's sauce. But here's the thing about the sauce I was just talking about. You are bidding on an authentic autographed photo of the McNugget sauce printed shoddily on plain paper, and sent in an ordinary UPS stamped envelope. In other words, it's not the sauce; it's a picture of the sauce.
Oh God!
That is being. Let's see. You will also receive a complimentary sense of generalized bamboozlement of having the poor judgment to spend money on this particular auction. But anyway, that's somebody trying to fake somebody out on eBay. But I would definitely, it was good sauce. I mean, generally when I go to get dipping sauce, when I get nuggets, I get the sweet and sour. But I remember back in the late 90s, 98 to be exact, that this particular sauce came out, and it was awesome. It's kind of like my theory about going to Chinese food and bringing pineapple with me. Because I would like a little pineapple in my chicken curry.
We went to my favorite place Friday night, last night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. To get Chinese food. And I just so happened to have a bag of the crispy wonton in my purse.
Because
it's a snack.
This particular Chinese restaurant we go to, they don't have the wontons.
So I just happened to have it with me. So when they gave us the egg drop soup, I was like throwing it in there.
I was like, I couldn't believe it, but it was
I pulled that out. Your eyes were like saucers.
It was like I was so excited that you had done that, because it was like, sorry I can't bring my pineapple, but at least we'll have these delicious crispiness.
What do you think the kind of looks we get from the people at work there if we pulled out a can opener, a can of pineapple, and I got my bag?
It sucks to be you. I mean, at least I thought about adding a little extra, And
then the other people who may be in the restaurant eating, I mean.
Well, I just like, I'm the kind of person that likes hot and sweet. I like that combination, sweet and hot. So, chicken curry with my pineapple, or even with some cherries, that appeals to me. So, but with the wonton things, I was surprised. This is the only place we've ever gone that doesn't have.
They don't have the little crispy
wonton things to put in your soup, and so
over at HEB, which shares the same kind of general strip mall area. On the salad aisle, they have these little bags of croutons, tortilla strips, and crispy wonton strips for your salad. I just eat them like a snack.
One might say that that's stranger, but I believe there are stranger things out there. Don't you believe that, Surlana?
I gotta teach you about segues.
What? That was a great segue. Come on. Stranger Things, Season 2, coming to Netflix.
Well, when we ended Stranger Things Season 1, everything seemed to be happily ever after. Well, except for poor Barb.
Incidentally, when I was at GameStop today, they had a mini Barb and Funko Pop.
Aw.
Yeah.
So, everything seemed to be fine. Up until the little boy who had been missing, they recovered him, goes and he pukes up a slug in the sink. And we're like, oh, and I'm guessing he's keeping that from everyone.
Because he doesn't want anybody to know.
So, that was the only thing. They're like, oh, it's not such a happy world they live in. So, I got some, I read up on some insights on what we can expect for Stranger Things Season 2. If you don't want to know any of this, come back in 5 minutes.
Spoilers.
All right, so, we thought it ended nicely. He pukes up that slug.
Mm-hmm.
And we got, invested in these characters, especially even in poor Barb, although we don't see her much. So the anticipation for Season 2 is pretty huge, needless to say, I would say. Now, in the trailer for Season 2, we see our group of boys dressed up in Ghostbuster outfits. And this is because Season 2 isn't going to air until October.
Right.
And it will be a Halloween episode, so that's why they're dressed up. They've already revealed the names of all 9 episodes for us to ponder.
Do you have it on the list there?
No, but it's easy to find. So
the brush off.
It's been a full year since we've seen less. In their world, it's been a full year.
In other words, a full year since
gone by.
Going to the Upside Down universe.
So there was a speculation, and this is what I thought, first of all, when we were watching this and we finished it, is Stranger Things going to be kind of like, and other people have alluded to, American Horror Story, where maybe you have the same characters, but it's a different story and a different timeline, and they keep sort of the general theme. But no, they're going to have a linear timeline.
Right.
So we'll get to see the effects of Will. He was the boy that went to the Upside Down. What these effects of having been there are having on him. He may be having some kind of PTSD. And the sheriff character will continue to keep his secrets about what happened, about that whole incident at the lab.
Mm-hmm.
Will's mom, played by Winona Ryder, is going to get a love interest. And I'll tell you about that in a minute. And Nancy will finally get a chance to mourn the loss of Barb. There's going to be some kind of justice for Barb. There will be a girl that joins the boys group along with her older brother named Billy, who's a bit of a tough kid, wild card. And who plays the mother's love interest other than the original Goonie himself, Sean Astin, who, you know, when he was a kid, he started off this whole kid adventure genre. So it's only fitting that he's in Stranger Things, because Stranger Things is so based off of the Goonies and Stephen King and Alien. And it's got all the elements you loved from those movies. And speaking of aliens, Paul Reiser is going to be in Stranger Things 2. And I'm wondering if the role he's playing is alluding to his role in Aliens, because he's going to be playing Dr. Owens from the Department of Energy. He's an advisor who comes to deal with the events of Season 1 in the lab. So I'm wondering if that's a quiet shout-out to his role in Aliens.
Well, I know it did in the movie Aliens. He plays a company guy that tries to convince Sigourney Weaver's character to go to the planet where they touch down. So, you know, in the end, this is not much of a spoiler because Aliens came out in the mid-'80s, but his character dies. So maybe his character dies.
So I'm wondering, you know, it kind of feels like they're pulling in people from the iconic 80s roles to allude to as some kind of like send-up, you know, honoring.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll get to see more of the Upside Down in Season 2. And yes, Barb is still very much dead.
Yeah.
But who's been eating all those Eggos that are being left in the woods? Someone else is going to return.
11?
Indeed. So, can you wait all the way till October?
Well, I've got some stuff that's going to happen between here and then, and you know, if North Korea just keeps their pants on and doesn't do anything, I think we'll make it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's bunches of shows coming out that I need to get out. Eventually, I'll get through CSI, Naval CSI. So you know.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know...
I don't want you to hurry through that. You know, I make fun of you, but just take your time and enjoy that.
Well, what's your angle? Because
I get to nap more when you're busy.
You've been laughing at me because I've been, you know, watching the show, you know.
No, it's good. It's good. It keeps you occupied and you're not worrying about what I'm doing.
You know, I will admit it's been great to watch this show because it has distracted me about things and keeps my mind off of things that, you know, bug me to death and actually keeps me more centered. So, you know...
Speaking of things that you enjoy and keep you centered, I don't think it keeps you centered, but I just enjoy it.
And you call this a segue?
We went to see, Thursday night, Riff Tracks Live, Samurai Cop, and I knew it was going to be a stink bomb of a movie, even though I'd never seen it. And oh boy, even without them riffing, it was hilarious, unintentionally hilarious. It's like a 10-year-old boy wrote the script of that movie.
Without farts.
Yeah, or maybe a 12-year-old boy, but, you know, like an emergent, pubescent boy. It was the first rated R we went to see.
Of Riff Tracks.
Yeah, it was rated R.
But, I enjoyed the movie. I had a good time. It was,
It's always a good time.
I could have watched this movie without it being riffed.
Oh, I can't watch it without it being riffed.
Because, I would have made my own sarcastic comments through the movie, made my own track. But it's always good to see Mike and the guys and riff a movie. And this one was no less funnier than usual.
Well, I'm trying to think of some insights we did, but it was... Yeah, there's some things I don't know if we can really talk about on here, but, it was funny, and then there was one scene where they break into the other cop's house, and he just got out of the shower, and he threatens to cut off something, and the way he puts it was just like the audience just howling with laughter. And it wasn't anything Mike, Bill, or Kevin said. It was in the movie's dialogue, and you're just like, who wrote this piece of crap? Oh my gosh. And the fight scenes are unbelievable, the blood is unbelievable, the acting there isn't any acting.
The wigs are unbelievable.
Now, the wig changing, yes. So the lead character has this dark, fabulous Fabio hair. It's 1991 is when the film was done, although it still looked like the 80s.
Well, late 80s.
Yeah. So here's what I'm guessing must have happened. They shot the film with him with his real hair, looking like he's supposed to, but maybe they thought they were done, and then they had to do more scenes, but maybe the guy had already cut his hair, so they had to put a wig on him to... for continuity, but the wig was just too freaking awesome. Mm-hmm. It was all curly and fabulous, like for a woman, and it was just so obviously not his hair, as opposed to what is his hair.
And there was a couple of shots that kind of cracked me up where they did, the close-ups on their face.
Why were they like, we're looking
close.
at their pores, magnification.
And what was worse was that he looked like he was under a heat lamp, the old heat lamps for burgers they used to have. And so the lighting was kind of bad. But overall, it was kind of funny, though. And especially the sidekick cop that was with him. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed his character, and because...
he had the worst lines.
Yes. He
had the worst lines. And what got me is, in the film, they're always talking about the samurai cop. It's like, oh, and he speaks fluent Japanese. They say he speaks fluent Japanese because he spent time over there. He never spoke a word of Japanese.
Not one word
Not
of
one word. Then, in fact, he goes to find the leader of this Japanese-American illegal gang, and he goes, are you Fujiyama? Like, he couldn't even pronounce Japanese. And you don't hardly get any background about him being a samurai other than he understands the code, and occasionally he has a sword.
Yes. And we're not talking about when he's in his Speedos.
Oh my gosh, the banana hammock.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. I mean...
this movie is rated R, and it definitely wasn't because of nudity, because...
No, there wasn't any...
Nudity. It was all, I guess, because of language, and because there was
and they did talk about...
Quite a few F-bombs in it.
Yeah.
And, but overall, it was funny, though.
Any of the intimate scenes were they were so bad you had to laugh, and in their so-called, beach scenes where they're in their beach gear, and his swim thing was just like, I don't know if this is supposed to be sexually appealing, but it's hilarious. I'm like, do you know how ridiculously hilarious this looks? And I found out by accident, trying to see if I could research tidbits for this show, that there is a samurai cop too.
Right.
Or there's trying to be a samurai cop too.
An interesting factoid is they thought that the lead character had died, and so they were writing a samurai cop 2 without him. And so when they found out he was very much alive, they started to rewrite it, and they got it kickstarted, funded, and so I don't know if it's out there yet or not. But there's some pictures, and it looks
why? It's supposed to be 20 years later,
right?
And I saw a picture of the main guy as he looks 20 years later. I'm like, ooh, it's basically a skeleton with skin.
He didn't age well.
Yeah, so...
But his partner did. I mean, he looks good.
Well, speaking of riff tracks, I want to get into a related topic, but we're at the bottom of the hour, so why don't we come back?
Yeah, let's go ahead and take the musical break, and you're listening to Spaceboy Universe with Spaceboy and Surlana on the SBU network, so don't go anywhere. You're listening to Spaceboy Universe, and I am Spaceboy.
And I'm having cake.
Yes, she is. Birthday girl. So, Surlana, you were going to talk about...
well, you know, when we talk about riff tracks, they talked about, as of that night, Thursday night, the premiere episode of the new Mystery Science Theater 3000 had premiered on Netflix. I haven't had time to watch it yet. I don't know if they did a whole episode or if they just did a clip, but they did a riff on Stranger Things.
Which, that was pretty funny.
So I need to go back and check it out. But the thing is, on the original show, on both Joel and Mike versions, I never cared for their interstitial content unless they were doing a music parody that had to do with something in the movie they were watching.
Mm-hmm.
They do have some great musical numbers. but when it was their
And I wonder
plot, storylines, it was just wasted time.
I was going to say Kevin usually was in a lot of stuff that Dave would do musically that I always enjoyed.
Well, Kevin Murphy has a beautiful singing voice. He just happens to have this beautiful voice. And you get to hear some of that stuff when you go to Riff Tracks Live. Before they air the live stream, they will show a PowerPoint, a snarky PowerPoint that they've put together, and you can listen to various pieces of music that the guys have actually recorded over the years, as well as Weird Al songs and other kind of famous comedy artists. But I enjoy the ones where they were making fun of the movie. But when they did the back and forth skits with if it was Mrs. Forrester or Dr. Forrester or TV's Frank, I never really cared for that much. I wanted to get back to the movie.
Or when they were in the front talking to the robots.
That wasn't too bad. I don't know a whole lot about the new one other than who's in it. Of course, Felicia Day, I know next to nothing about her. I know Patton Oswalt.
Felicia Day plays a relative of Dr. Forrester.
Yeah, I know that. I know that Jonah Ray, who is the hapless guy who gets put into space, they let him pick his own guys to be the voice of Crow and Tom.
Really?
Yeah. I'm looking at facts you don't know about Mystery Science Theater. They let him pick people that he knew because they wanted him to be comfortable with the guys he's going to work with. What was interesting is, in the early days of the show, when it was, it went through these two iterations. It was on the Comedy Channel, and then the Comedy Channel later rebranded themselves to Comedy Central, and then it got canceled 4 times, but it got saved twice by a fan writing campaign, and then it got moved to, its last 3 years was on Sci-Fi, where it, actually ended. But that was a long time.
Yes.
It actually went, I forget, is that 10 or 11? We're on the 11th season. They're calling this the 11th season, I believe, right now. Let's see. An impressive 10 seasons. And it started out as a local program on a UHF station at KTMA Minneapolis. It went from 1988 to 96 on Comedy Channel /Central, and then to Sci-Fi in 97 to August of 1999. And of course, the premise of the show was loosely based on the film Silent Running, where you've got a guy alone on a spaceship with no one for companions but robots, and he's gone a little bit funny, but he got put there against his will. So anyway, in the earliest days, when they were just getting started on the Comedy Channel, they would end the show, and the end credits, they would say, keep circulating the tapes. Because what people were doing, this is the days of VCRs, is they would tape the show off the TV, and they would share them with friends. And that was the only way they could really get the word out, was people who already saw it and would share it with other people. And this is slightly before the internet, and then rightly as the internet is beginning to emerge, and people are finding alt news sites to go and talk about the show and create a little site for people to discuss the show. And so Mystery Science Theater was very pro piracy in a way, because that was a way for them to get the word out. But now they're very much against that. They're like, please don't share episodes, especially off of Netflix, because people have to pay for that service, and so they've had to go, full on corporate with it. But it had such a loose, independent feel back in the early days.
Cult following.
Kind of, it was very much a cult following, and now it feels like it's hipster fashionable to be into. And I can be one of those equally irritating people, like, well, yeah, I liked it before hipsters did, and I did. I feel like I liked it before anybody else I knew did. Actually, the only people I know that still likes it this day is my sister. So, and you tolerate things, I know.
Well, I know this, the new person, Jonas,
Jonah.
Or Jonah. Yeah, I'm sorry.
You're thinking of Venture Brothers.
Yes, I am thinking of Venture Brothers. I was listening to him on the Nerdist podcast when Nerdist was first starting off with our fan favorite Chris Hardwick.
Mm.
And he was like one of it was Chris Hardwick, him, and someone else. I can't remember the third person, but that's where I remember hearing him way before all this. And so it's nice to see that he's getting his own little piece of the pie there.
Well, I didn't know this because I didn't really get involved in this, but in order to bring Mystery Science Theater back, it was a Kickstarter campaign. I guess Joel was trying to see how many people would really seriously wanted it back. So it turned out being the single largest, fastest, biggest film video project backed to date, earning $5.76 million, 50,000 donors in a single month. It beat the Veronica Mars Kickstarter, just barely. But it was the most funded video project in Kickstarter history, and more was coming in after it closed. It's actually closer to 6.3 million by the time it ended. So it let them make all 12 episodes, and 14 of them, and with holiday special. Now the thing is, they're going to do things a little different with a reboot. They're actually going to have some guest stars. I don't know how they're going to do that, but some of the writers for this will be Dan Harmon and Joel McHale.
Wow.
So the guest writers, guest stars. I don't know about that. That seems that's sort of a very different feel.
I know one thing. I'm interested to see, their content as far as what are they going to be riffing? What I guess they would be riffing on MSK 3000.
Yeah, well, they'll still have to do things that they did in the original days. It's going to have to be things they can get licensed. That they have. See, that's the brilliance of RiffTrax, rifftrax.com. Their main thing is, okay, they still do your educational shorts and all these other silly shorts. But
public domain.
Their main bread and butter is MP3 files. They're audio files that, like, hey, want to hear us make fun of Star Wars? Go get your Star Wars DVD out, purchase the MP3 file, and we'll tell you how to sync it up. And they're riffing it while you watch your version you have. So that's how they got around the copyright laws. That's absolutely brilliant. I thought that was a brilliant way to do it. And that was the last three guys who did Mystery Science Theater, which was Mike Nelson, Bill Corbett, and Kevin Murphy. And Bill and Kevin were Crow and Tom Servo, respectively. And they all the three of them got together and created RiffTrax. And I try to donate to every Kickstarter campaign when they want to do a RiffTrax Live. They've had very successful campaigns, too.
Well, after RiffTrax, didn't they, before RiffTrax...
Yeah, there was a period of time where they were doing the film crew, and they tried to do some... And then I don't know who it was who had the brilliant idea to do the MP3 things, but it has worked out like gangbusters. They even have Mary Jo and Bridget, who were also on the original Mystery Science Theater, come and do the riffing, just the two of them together, and they're hilarious. The one they did about the menopausal woman, oh my gosh, that short, it's worth the $1.99 download.
And they can get it at RiffTrax.
Yeah. Say something so I can have a bite of cake.
Well, I'm saying something right now as Surlana shoves some cake in her mouth. And she's trying not to choke on it because I'm making fun of her at this moment. I won't tell her about the big glob of white... Oh, she got the white icing off her lips.
It don't matter. Nobody cares. It's just you.
So we go off from there. Do we talk about... What do you want to spin the wheel here, Surlana?
Well, it's been a while since we saw that movie, and you've been waiting to talk about it. Do you want to talk about that now, or...
Well, we could talk about the movie we saw a few weeks back.
Yeah, I'm going to forget about it if we wait one more week.
So, We went to the movies, and it was my intentions to see several movies before this episode tonight, but we only got to one. The other movie that I want to go see is Ghost in the Shell, based upon the anime. Yeah, probably, because there's grocery store might not be open.
That should be open in theater, right?
What, Ghost in the Shell?
Yeah, I'm saying that the movie theater should be open.
Yeah, I guess we could do Fandango. Fandango, when you want to find a movie, go to your app called Fandango and look it up in your zip code. Anyway, so we went to go see the movie Life, which is based out in space. In fact, I guess what happens is this movie opens up where this, module that had been around Mars was coming back to Earth with samples on board, and I guess something had happened to it, and the space station that was above Earth ends up catching it and taking in the samples. And so they go and they start looking through the microscope to see if there's any life in the samples that they brought on board, and wouldn't you know it, there is life. And, of course...
They had to jumpstart it, though.
Yeah, they did have to jumpstart it.
It wasn't just there.
So,
they tampered in God's domain.
Needless to say, it had Deadpool himself, Ryan Reynolds.
Why was he even in that movie?
I mean,
He was only there for like 20 minutes.
Okay, so here, why don't you tell a little bit about this from your perspective? Because, I
only have two things, really.
What are your two things?
First of all, there's this huge criticism about the movie about it's just a knockoff plot loosely from Prometheus.
Yeah, to some degree, because the alien did remind me of the alien when they go into that chamber.
Yes, yeah,
the
exactly.
Snake alien that had the little flippers on the side, and it ends up killing those two dudes.
Kind of like a demonic eel or something.
Yeah, something like that. That's what it kind of reminded me of.
And Hollywood always portrays alien life as like it's just born angry, and it wants to kill, 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 kill.
Well, didn't this alien get angry after it was shocked to death?
Well, yeah, they did annoy it.
I mean, they provoked it. And then, of course, my next thing is, for something that's supposed to be, they're doing this experiments, I would have had some kind of an ability to shoot that crap back out in space, to evacuate the...
Well, that's against quarantine procedures, I think.
If that thing had re-entered the Earth's atmosphere, it would have burnt up.
Well, it was dormant under certain circumstances. Why couldn't they replicate those circumstances and make it go dormant again?
Didn't it go dormant again during when it got the air or something?
They took the oxygen. They started shutting the oxygen down. But the other thing is, it's that old thing, well, gosh, there's no new stories. They just keep rehashing and reusing and, re-exploring same themes now. The other thing I've noticed is this trend throughout many movies. I'd have to name them off to you. Like, well, let's see. What was the thing we saw with Amy Adams? What was the name of that alien thing?
Patrick's going to kill us if we don't remember. All I remember is that the UFOs look like pistachios.
Yeah, that movie, the aliens had tentacle-like appendages. Mm-hmm. The alien in Alien has the face hugger. The Arrival.
Yes.
You've got the face hugger that has some disturbing appendages, and the way it gets into you, so to speak, is very invasive. Of course, the thing that comes out of the alien's mouth is very weird. The alien in Life ends up being a tentacled type alien because it evolves and keeps changing. Why does Hollywood think we have such an inherent fear of tentacled aliens? I mean, I'm sure the Japanese could talk to us because they have hentai, but I guess because tentacles are just so foreign to our everyday life. We don't go around seeing squids and octopus every day in our lives, I suppose. But
in the Alien franchise movie, the face huggers are not really tentacle. They have hand-like fingers.
Okay, once they wrap around your face, what are they doing?
Well, they're impregnating you with...
How?
Yeah, I know. We don't...
That's,
I understand that
and
part,
that's the
but
same
that's not tentacles.
I know, but it's the same... I'm trying to say something without saying something. I'm trying to be very PG here.
Okay. You're talking about...
I'm making a hand gesture.
I know what gesture you're making because I can see it from here.
Insert tab A into slot B.
I understand
basically.
that. So, what you're saying is an alien impregnating a host.
It's kind of violent and invasive.
True. So, what are you trying to compare the violent?
And that alien
invasive?
on Life was kind of violent.
Well, like I said, he didn't get violent until one, he was shocked.
Yeah,
and
but
two,
he just stayed pissed off the entire movie.
Well, I'd be pissed off too if somebody had shocked me and then tried to burn me, and then, and that leads into Ryan Reynolds' character going into there just to burn it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say
that was pretty disturbing.
I'd say screw this. I'm blowing you out the airlock. I don't care of the consequences, and be done with it. But instead, he went into a quarantine area and tried to take care of matters in his own hands. And so I guess in that movie, in that part, the director's trying to build up the fact that he deserved what was coming to him because he tried to make him into a crispy critter.
I don't know.
So, yes, Ryan Reynolds dies fairly early.
I'll tell you this, I don't think we spoil it. I mean, the movie's doesn't have a great ending.
Well, it's I call that
You're
ending.
Like,
it's a Twilight Zone episode ending, where you think everything's going to end.
Sad irony,
It's going to end one way, but flips the script and ends a different way. So.
And you're like, oh no.
Yeah. So overall, let your friend
makes you wonder what happened on Mars.
Let your friend rent this movie, and you don't have to pay a nickel for it. So. And another thing was,
makes you wonder what happened on Mars. That
I did not feel invested in the characters.
No, because they jump right into it.
Yeah, and then you have the one character who's having a baby back on Earth.
Big whoop.
Yeah, and that was the closest we get to trying to make some connections to these characters, and.
Jake Gyllenhaal and Ryan Reynolds are the only two people you know. Like, why were they in this movie? I don't even know why. Because they got a buck, I guess. It made a buck. But, I don't know. Anyway, briefly, I was going to ask you about Thor.
Oh, before you go in there, I want to just transition from that conversation about life. Had an opportunity, unlike Surlana, I don't usually read like she does, so I usually buy audiobooks. I admitted the truth, but I still like to keep up with things.
But the way you said that was very passive aggressive.
Well,
very passive.
Just check your passive aggressive with the hat and coat girl. So I got an opportunity to read a book or listen to a book called Alien, Out of the Shadows, and it was a pretty decent book. And this book takes place between the movie Alien and Aliens, where Sigourney Weaver, somebody finds her ship prior to her. In other words, they find her 30 years after she's been out there. But by the end of the movie,
what was she doing for 30 years?
Well, she's been in hypersleep.
Oh,
remember, she's got Jonesy the cat, and she's in that one ship.
I'm confused because of.
Did you? I know you. Did you see the original
Resurrection?
No, I'm not talking about the Resurrection. I forgot which. That's number 4. 3 and 4 we went.
Oh, you're talking about Between.
Alien.
Okay.
Alien, the first movie, where she escapes out of that thing. She blows that alien out the airlock.
I'm just not as familiar with that.
And then Aliens, which not Carpenter. Oh boy, James Cameron directed. Game over, man. What are we gonna do now? So this takes place, because remember, on Aliens they find her ship 80 years after she's been out there. Okay. So this book takes place between those 30 years after she's been out there. So by the end of this book, she has a memory wipe, and that's why she doesn't remember the events of this particular thing that happened. And so it is what it is. But anyway, it was a good book. If you get a chance, you should check it out. Alien, Out of the Shadows, by Tim Levin. Dirk Maggs is the two writers of this particular book. Check it out if you can. And now we go to Thor.
I was just going to ask you, what is up with Thor now?
What do you mean, what's up with Thor?
Well, it seems like... Okay, the last Avengers movie was the Civil War, right?
Yeah.
He wasn't in it.
No, supposedly he was back on Asgard.
So he wasn't in it. So, because he wasn't in it, I don't know if it was SNL or whoever, somebody did these skits on the internet about him going to New Zealand and having a roommate. And like, well, it's like, what if your roommate was Thor? What would it be like? So it was cutesy sketches.
It was, yeah.
So now it seems like in the trailers I've seen for Ragnarok, which is the next Thor that's coming out, I guess, later this year, Thor's funny now.
Well, okay.
And it feels like this is going back to Deadpool. I think Deadpool is having had a huge influence over superhero movies.
I know where you're going with it because you asked me this earlier. I think what it is that Thor has had an opportunity to hang out with humans now for some time and starting to pick up on their nuances.
Sure, hanging out with Jane.
And so he is more in touch now. He's not so stiff, and so he's gotten to hang out with these guys.
But he has such a childlike enthusiasm, though. It's kind of silly. In the trailer, where I guess the premise is Loki has pulled one over on everybody, and I don't know what Loki's done, but it seems like it's led to chaos. But that's what he is, the god of chaos, isn't he? Trickster.
Right.
So he's still out and about, and somehow I guess Thor gets captured on this planet, and I guess they pull this thing. Remember where they made 7 of 9 compete against her will? They capture her, and you have to fight every day, and you just live or die.
Right.
Well, they are making him fight, I guess, in a gladiatorial arena.
Well, it looks like his home planet is invaded. To be honest with you, if you kind of look at it, it does feel or look a little bit like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, it has that feel.
It has that vibe, especially in the title and the color and, everything that's coming at it. And it's a matter of time because he's out in the universe. Thor is, with his planet and all that stuff that's happening. So it begs to tap into this, that Guardians in the Galaxy, there's going to be a connection there somewhere.
They are. They're going to meet.
They're going to meet, exactly.
$1 billion budget.
Yeah.
I think they're already filming it at the Avengers. And
so, I'm sure that they're, making Thor a little bit more upbeat.
Well, that was so odd because I guess they capture him. And I guess the first thing they do is cut his hair.
Well,
he doesn't have the Thor
You're
mullet.
assuming they cut his hair. Maybe he cut his hair, or
he doesn't look like Thor anymore.
No,
he doesn't look like him at all. And he puts on that helmet that has the wings, though.
That's cool though.
But that is part of original Thor.
Yeah.
And then here comes the Hulk. You're like, holy crap! What is the Hulk doing up there? How did they get him?
I had heard that Bruce Banner had gone with Thor back to his planet, I guess, to just get off planet and check it out. There are a few, I think, Planet Hulk movies, animated, where Hulk does get off of Earth and, kind of goes out into the galaxy kind of thing and hangs out with Thor.
But he comes busting through that
connection.
Arena, and Thor's like, yes!
Yeah, he was happy because
he's happy to see him.
Yeah, because he knew who he was.
It's like, he's a friend from work.
Yeah.
And then you just start fighting.
Right.
But I want to know, I do want to see it because I want to know, gosh, what happened to his hammer?
Yeah, it gets shattered.
Thor.
Yeah, it gets shattered.
He didn't have it anymore.
No.
So he can't open up a can on people. So it's like he's powerless.
Well, I wouldn't say he's totally powerless. I think he still has certain powers, that he's capable.
Well, it looks really interesting. It looks more interesting than the last two they did.
Well, the last two were more serious and dark.
But the thing is about these Marvel movies that are related, especially if they're Avenger movies, you have to watch them because you have to see what's at the end of the credits because that will tell you about the next movie.
Yeah, it's kind of like the way those back in the old days, they would have these serials. And tune in to next week when we see Spaceboy defeat the dragon, or will we? That kind of thing. So, and not a response out of that one from you, but
I know what you're talking about. I was just, marveling at the time.
Yeah, it's all kind of slipping into the future. Oh, it is. It's time for a break, isn't it? So, but yeah, Thor. It should be awesome. It's going to be leading into. It has that Galaxy of the Guardians of the Galaxy look to it. And, it's all in good fun. So, hey, everyone, let's take a break. And when we come back, we'll talk more on Pop Culture Night here on the SBU Network. And that's Spaceboy Universe. Hey, that's speaking of featured tracks. That was on Coast to Coast AM with
that guy.
With that guy, yes. And I was a featured artist February of last year with Madness of the Moon. So I do get around in the universe. So that's thought I'd play that for you. All right, Surlana. What now?
Well, you can talk about Star Wars. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know if I can carry the whole segment with Star Wars. Other
I
than,
haven't watched the new trailer.
That's the point, is that you haven't watched the new trailer. So how am I going to?
I've seen bits and pieces. I've seen people photoshopping the new poster for it.
That went out there, and there's some good, funny ones that are out there.
I like the one where they merged it with Tron, the original Tron poster.
Yes,
Well,
which
funny.
it looks like a Tron thing. Well, in this trailer, we finally get to see a little bit of what's to come in December. We finally see Luke basically saying that the Jedi should end. There should be no more Jedis. We see Rey beginning her training. She starts lifting stones. That looked interesting. We see the destruction of possibly the past of Luke's training of the new Jedis, and then Phasma, or whatever her name is, the silver-looking... Sorry, I'm a little choked up here. It always gets me sad thinking about that. Those younglings dying. We see the Darth Vader mask that Ben or Ray, not Ray, but I can't think of his name right now.
I never saw number 7. I still need to watch it.
Yes.
So far behind. I'm so far behind.
I can't tell you how many times I've tried to get you to watch it. And now we own Rogue One. I know you've already seen it.
But we went to the movies to see it.
I know, but it still has all the behind scenes. I've already seen the behind the scenes scenes or whatever of that.
For you.
And so needless to say, the universe out there on the interwebs are going crazy because of this new trailer, and justly so, of what's to come down the pipe.
Yeah, and I mean, everything on the internet is just Star Wars crazy. And I guess rightly so. How many more main movies after this one?
Well, you've got one more that is, I guess I've heard the expression called the Skywalker stories. So you've got that, and then, of course, supposedly there'll be another Star Wars story. And when I say Star Wars story, Rogue One was a Star Wars story.
Yes, I get that.
And so supposedly there was gonna be one next year to fill in that gap between the main Star Wars movies. Also, to be coming down the line, you still have Han Solo. Young Han Solo adventure movie that might come out next year. I'm not sure 100%. I know that they've been filming on that. And, and then some point down the line, which will be perfect for Ian McGregor, he'll be old enough to actually look the part of an old Obi-Wan Kenobi. And there's been some things that he'll get his own set of movies to do, too, as well. So, of him watching over...
I know Alec Guinness, the original one, hated being in that movie, apparently.
Yeah, well, it wasn't what he expected. But hats off to him for doing it. I mean, he brought a certain gravitas to the role. I think he was, part of the original cast. I don't think there was anybody that was well known. Everybody else was fairly new to Star Wars, and I mean, he was the only
really
veteran
accomplished, known actor. When I was a kid, 4, 5, and 6 didn't make any sense. Mm-hmm. And even when I was older, it still didn't make any sense. But now you've got the backstory of 1, 2, and 3. And even though I didn't see 1 and 2, I understand. I saw 3. What are Jedi? What's the deal with the balance of the Force and the dark and the light? And I get it now. It all makes sense. And who are Luke and Leia? Why are they brother and sister? And so the ultimate question, I guess, has it been answered is, if you're saying that Luke is going around saying, there shouldn't be any more Jedi, they were saying it was predicted that Anakin would bring balance to the Force. Did he do it? Or is it going to be through his lineage? Somebody down through his lineage is going to do it? Or is it the very fact that he existed and had offspring the balance.
Mm-hmm.
But if Luke is saying, "Oh, there should be more Jedi," just saying like, "There's no need for more good guys," or so. Are we ever going to figure out who Rey is really, or?
I think ultimately we will. You know, this. There's been some things said about this coming movie in December that a lot of people are saying it's different. You know, and they're not saying it in a negative way. It's just, expect this to be different. Now, if you're going to go with the 4, 5, and 6 episodes, where you have A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, and then Return of the Jedi, this next movie is going to probably be dark, because that's usually how these movies have gone down.
Strikes Back was a little dark.
Well, yeah, The Empire Strikes Back. So this would be the third movie in this sequence, and so it might come across dark. So it'll be interesting to see how that all goes.
7 wasn't dark?
No, 7 was like, hey, we're back from a long vacation. And it compares to A New Hope, where, they destroy the Death Star.
I guess I just need to watch it.
Yeah, you do. Just watch the movie. Watch the movie, Dougal. You know what I'm talking about.
Play the fucking note.
So, but one interesting. There's been a lot of
Father Ted references.
A lot of interesting rumors and theories behind this character Snoke, which is a character you really don't know too much about because you haven't seen the movie. And supposedly he's the bad guy in this series of movies. And the interesting thing is, someone mentioned that he could be Anakin Skywalker's twin. And so,
plausible?
Plausible, maybe. And so a lot of interesting rumors out there, and it's just this one seems to be the most interesting. Now, speaking of Anakin, the guy that played him in the original trilogy, not the original, but the first 1, 2, and 3, not 1, but 2 and 3. I can't think of his name right now, and it eludes me. I know for sure it's not Gene Wilder. But
we know that much.
But he recently they're doing the Star Wars Con, and he was there. So hopefully he'll come back as he got a standing ovation, because a lot of people panned his acting, thinking that he was not that great.
Who are we talking about?
The guy that played Anakin Skywalker, the older version.
Hayden somebody?
Yes, Hayden, or I can't think of his last name. I'm sure there's space cadets out there that could probably weigh into this. K-28. So, yeah, never a dull moment with him.
Yeah, well, we need to get him his box.
Yeah, we do need to get him his box. So, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that all goes down. So, and no, we haven't announced the number yet. Remember the number? Oh, let me just remind our audience real quick. I will be announcing a number somewhere during this particular episode of tonight's show. When you get that number, you need to email it to stuff@spaceboyuniverse.com. That's stuff@spaceboyuniverse.com. When you do that, we'll let you know if you're the winner via email that you've won the special prize for tonight. So that number has not been announced yet. Just cool your jets. It will be announced soon. So anyway, yeah, that's the way the Star Wars cookie crumbles.
Hayden Christensen, Bob says.
Thank you, Bob. I knew I could count on you, my friend. So that's that, and then that leads me into
what's going on with Doctor Who?
Well, Doctor Who, going back to riff tracks, they're going to, I believe in August, going to have a Doctor Who riff.
They're going to riff the 5 Doctors. Oh, and as soon as I read that, I ran to you and I'm like, are you going to be upset if they make fun of your beloved Doctor Who. And
I
you said
no,
not at all.
Not at all. It's. I mean,
I was like, oh, good man.
I mean, considering the time, but that is a good episode, even without it being riffed. So I know that I enjoyed that episode immensely. That
so you'll really enjoy.
I'll really enjoy it because I know there's a certain cheese factor to the sets and all that, but between watching that episode and watching the guys riff it should be pretty funny. So I'm looking forward to that. And must go see it in August. Now, in other Doctor Who news, the new season is going to be starting fairly soon. In fact, I think you'll be if Phantom Events are going to be showing it in the theater. Fathom are going to be showing it in the theater. So this is the last season for Peter Capaldi. Surlana was just telling me earlier that she was reading that he's already filmed his death scene, and which ushers in a new Doctor. Now, and the reason is because
I wonder if he's going to be younger and sexy.
Moffat is leaving the show. He's been with them forever, and they're changing of the guards, so to speak, with a new writer. And so the writer, they're trying to get it to where the writer has a new Doctor and possibly even a new companion. So there is a companion that's coming up on this new season that's only going to be with the season for the one season and will not go on to the next one. And so,
jeez,
I know. Well, it's just I'm not too heartbroken by it.
Well, why bother getting invested?
Well, this. I guess there's been companions that have had just the same amount of time, but it's the starting fresh thing. Starting with a new Doctor. I'm really curious to know who they're thinking about replacing Capaldi with, if they haven't already figured out who. I mean, we've already waited a little bit of extra time for this season, which once again it goes into the delay of something really good, and people just don't. They don't want to wait. Hey, come on, it's bad enough having to wait a year, but make us wait over a year. I mean, nerds,
have short attention spans.
Yes, I know. It's like, what is that? Squirrel.
Yeah, exactly. I get frustrated waiting on things like that. Although I think, the time between Riff Track's live events kind of irks me. But this year they are doing one in June, which will be all shorts, summer shorts, Riffathon, and then I guess in August the 5 Doctors. But
there's quite a few things that are coming to Fathom events that we're kind of interested in.
There's quite a few things you and I will be doing in the name of Spaceboy Universe. Not to mention Comic Palooza. We might go back down the end of this month and go see the Alien Hunter again.
The answer is 42. So yeah, we'll probably be going to Comic Palooza, and
no, I'm pretty sure we're going to that. Don't you think?
Yeah, I think we are going to Comic Palooza,
we
and
desperately need some details on that.
And so as time progresses, that we'll start announcing. We need to follow up because I know that we're supposed to be able to give a discount thing to tickets.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't.
In case one of y'all get a crazy notion to fly down to Houston in May to attend Comic Palooza.
God forbid that we've gone to California twice, and maybe somebody out that way can come this way to
Considering I'm not going back. I mean.
But yeah, come see us in Houston, Texas on the May 12th, 13th, and 14th when we'll be doing Comic Palooza.
Time to do
what?
I wish.
Why is it a weird time?
I just wish they were doing it in June like last year.
Why?
Because it gives us more time to prep.
Look, we've had time. It's just, there's some nights that you choose to go to bed early. Passive aggressive.
Why do you want to start fights during our show?
I don't. Happy birthday, Surlana.
You're glad it's not video.
She's giving me the Italian flip off right now. So where do we go from here? I've talked Doctor Who.
That's literally the end of the board.
And Star Wars, and
that's what that means. The end of 13.
The end of 13. Number.
He is the 13th Doctor.
He is the 13th Doctor.
Hmm.
As they.
Wow.
Yeah.
I heard that he couldn't physically be the doctor anymore because it's hard on his knees.
Well, I'd heard because there's a lot of running. And
yeah. I didn't even think of that. That's it.
A lot of twists, turns, running. So yeah, I guess it could be hard on him. And I had read that too on back when he was, I guess the previous season, he was having a hard time keeping up.
I guess it's not for. Well, how did those old dudes do it in the beginning?
Well, the first doctor didn't run.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, but then you have
had a no running clause.
And then I'm trying to think of what was it? The third doctor that had the cool magician's cloak thing and he had the white hair and. But yeah, he was like it was the late '60s, so he was kind of like an Austin Powers kind of thing, So
it does seem like Doctor Who used to be more cheesy, like the old Batman in a way. Maybe not that cheesy, but it had a more camp feel.
Yeah, there was some degree, and then you had
now we've gotten
Tom Baker came along, and then
slightly more
dramatic and less campy.
Well, I don't know. I think Smith and Tennant were fun.
Oh yeah, I would definitely say that. And when you factor in the background about the past of Eccleston, it makes sense why he was kind of grumpy.
Yeah, I read about that. He came out of some kind of war.
Right, the war doctor, and so that's why he was a little angry, and so. It'll be interesting. I've liked Peter Capaldi. I don't have a beef with him, but Tennant was great. Matt was great too. I enjoyed his character because bow ties are cool, and so both those characters or those actors brought a certain gravitas, and Peter Capaldi, but going back to Matt and Tennant, definitely like them, and they kind of encapsulated the craziness of the fourth Doctor, which was Tom Baker, and which I liked a lot. So,
I have one more thing I was kind of mention. It's not really pop culture, but I guess we could spin it that way. I mean, so did you hear about the hacking?
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. Which hacking do you speak of?
Well, an internet hacking collective called the Shadow Brokers, they say they have these NSA hacking tools that target Windows machines that are online.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you have anything under Windows 10 or anything, it's like if you have Windows 7, 8, or down, you're vulnerable and maybe you should turn your computer off this weekend. They're going from 2013 back. The security consultants say that Windows 10 is safe from these hackers, but everything before Windows 10 is vulnerable, and it could be pretty bad. It's got a tool that can breach Windows operating systems and make them accessible, and it'll put a worm that'll self-replicate a virus on your computer, and it makes it shut down, and it's targeting more legacy systems.
So I guess it'd be a good idea to shut down systems tonight before we go to bed.
So you're running an old Windows system, is back up your files as soon as you can. Get off the internet. Don't just stay there and hang on to it, because if it's ransomware, you can explain what ransomware is.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's when someone comes along and encrypts your system, and in order to gain system back to control, you have to pay somebody. Usually they make you pay in bitcoins and things like that. So I have a question real quick, Surlana. Do you want to take our break early?
Can we do that?
Yeah, no problem.
Sorry about that.
She's turning green, ladies and gentlemen, and now she's slamming down the headphones that we can all hear because her headphones are still up. But hey, you are listening to Spaceboy Universe, and this is Spaceboy, and Surlana's running as quick as she can. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back, and we want to send a congratulations out to Bob. Bob, you heard the number. Congratulations, you're the winner of the special prize. I believe
He got it in 1 minute before K28 and Ty.
Yeah, Ty.
Although Ty's already getting this same thing.
Well,
we just haven't mailed it.
Thanks for showing how bad I am with postage. But yes, congratulations, Bob. We will be sending you a special gift your way, and thanks for being a part of the universe, because it's important for everyone to stick around for the last hour. Anyway, so where do we go from here? Hellboy has his own hell water.
I saw that kind of briefly. I didn't investigate that.
Yeah, for all the lovely people out there that love their liquor, there's nothing better than hell water from Hellboy. Basically, it's got naturally flavored cinnamon. It's naturally flavored cinnamon whiskey, which it's like Firecracker. You know the other brand that we like so much?
Fireball?
Fireball, that's it. Firecracker. What am I coming at? So, yeah, Fireball. Correct? Yeah. Okay, yeah, just making sure. And it's supposedly 66.6 proof. And set to be...
Is that potent?
Well, think about what I just said. 66.6.
Oh.
Yeah, and it'll be set to release on April 14th, and it'll cost around about $20 a bottle. I wonder how much is in that bottle. But, it's got a picture of Hellboy on it. And
I do like the is it Fireball?
Yeah.
I do like that stuff. It's you can't do a whole lot of that, though.
Oh, I could do a whole lot of it. It's pretty tasty. Let's see what else we got here. Also on the wall, I posted a thing from the Nerdist where they're lately they're hydraulic pressing everything to see how it squashes.
Yeah, there's several actual channels on YouTube about hydraulic presses. All they do is
crush things.
Different kinds of objects.
The one I posted on our wall tonight is got a Furby that they're crushing, and I could not help but think of the Terminator when he gets hydraulic pressed towards the end of the and so if anything starts to kill us, it'll be Furby will become aware, and we'll be attacked by Furbies left and right.
Things.
Let's see what else I got here on my list of things.
Well, while you're looking, did anybody see the viral video that's going around of a horse that stomped on this alligator?
That was pretty awesome.
I encourage you to go check that out if you can.
Yeah, most definitely. Let's see here. Let's see. Feel free to walk amongst the thing. Oh, well, also I read this article where they have this robot in Russia. It looks pretty interesting. There's a picture on the wall and on our Twitter wall. And they put guns in its hands. So,
do it now?
Guns. Yeah, here, look. I don't know how much more charge I have left, but
ooh.
Yeah, so check our wall for that. And so, the Russians have upped the game, and Skynet won't be here fast enough for us.
Oh, gracious. Did you hear? Now, I thought this was a joke, but apparently it's supposedly, I guess it's happened. A scorpion stung a passenger on a United flight because it fell from an overhead bin.
Why am I not surprised? Well, sometimes these things catch a ride for, depending on what.
That could happen to anybody?
Mm-hmm. It can happen to anybody.
I think I might be the smartest person in the country because I don't
fly.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not a big flyer myself, too, but, if I have to, like to get married, I'll do it. So,
I really think that's the only reason you married me, because I said we could do it at the Star Trek experience.
Honestly, I did not believe that. You know what? I do have.
I called you on your bluff, huh?
No, I just realized I do have access to stuff at spaceboyuniverse.com.
Sure.
Yeah, so.
You can see I'm not lying.
Yeah, you're not.
What it was is Bob emailed in at 11:17, Kay was 11:18, and Ty was 11:22 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I went by. Pink Floyd, the band, Pink Floyd.
Say it 3 times fast.
Gets a loud shrimp species named after them because the ocean needs more classic rock.
Doesn't it all? Yeah, I think I've seen that particular one. Let's see what else I got in my notes here. As we're cruising down to the last bit. 2
additional aviation officers involved in the United incident have been placed on leave.
Really?
Mm-hmm. But not fired.
Go figure.
They seem to really be protecting their employees, don't you think?
Yeah, because, they work hard.
I don't. What is it? Sylvester Stallone brings your '90s nostalgia to court by suing over Demolition Man.
Why is he suing over Demolition Man?
I don't know. You want to find out?
Yeah, why not? We've got a little time to spend with our audience.
So Stallone. I don't know. I'm tongue-tied. Sylvester Stallone is suing Warner Brothers Entertainment, allegedly, for ripping him off on his share of profits on Demolition Man. It made profit?
Well, I don't know.
In the lawsuit, Stallone says his company, Rogue Marble Productions Incorporated, alleged that fraudulent bookkeeping practices ripped him off on the profits from that movie.
Who was the company that produced it? did it say, or who?
In the suit, Stallone and his company Rogue Marvel Productions alleged that fraudulent Hollywood bookkeeping practices ripped him off.
That Rogue Marvel?
The motion picture studios are greedy. This one involves an outright, obviously intentional dishonesty perpetrated against an international iconic talent. Here, Warner Brothers decided it wasn't going to account to Rogue Marvel on the film. Warner Brothers sat on the money owed to Rogue Marvel for years.
Yes, okay.
So it's Warner Brothers they're suing. It's not known how much he's suing them for, but they don't imagine it's some piddling amount. He has several serious allegations against Warner Brothers as unscrupulous, unethical, and offensive, and they cause substantial injury to consumers. So I don't know when that's going to go down.
Let's quickly poll the audience. I mean, for those who have seen Demolition Man,
I never saw it.
What did you think of the movie? I thought it was pretty cool. Wesley Snipes, Sylvester Stallone. I thought it was a pretty decent movie. Sandra Bullock is in it. Tell us if you give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
It's an older movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, we did see the one around 10 o'clock, but the number tonight was not 28. So, anyway.
Sorry, I'm just looking. Of course.
So, it surprises me that, well, I'm not surprised because you don't watch movies all that much. By the way,
because books exist.
True, but, it's kind of like, I don't know, my escapism is through watching movies. I've always been that way.
That's fine.
In fact, as a kid, to get my mother would shut me up. She'd sit me right in front of the television, and that shut me up.
Oh, that's kind of sad.
And that explains why I'm so
codependent on it.
Codependent on TV. It's my wet blanket. My wet blanket. See, you and I tongue-tied.
I'm not on the game tonight. Delta is giving its agents the right to offer $10,000 to bump people. When is getting on a board a flight become so cutthroat?
Well, they've said for many years not to mention this, but when you upgrade to first class, there's Fight Club. Duke it out. I had heard somebody that they were trying to pull out of first class because somebody was more important, needed to get on that plane, and they wanted to kick somebody out of first class.
Oh yeah, I forgot that Charlie Murphy passed away.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that. That's pretty sad. And then of course Jay Giles of the Jay Giles Band.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked to hear that one.
I have an interesting story about that. Speaking of my mother, since I already kind of mentioned her. Back in the early 80s, at, I guess, the height of Jay Giles' career, my mom was at a bar, and he came in with his driver and, was talking to my mom, and he told her, hey, you want to come back with me I'm doing this gig in Atlanta. And, she was in Georgia at the time. And so she said, no, I don't believe you, whatever. And so at the end of the night, he said, at least let me give you a ride home. And she said, okay, I'll let you give me a ride home. So he gave my mom a ride home. And I'm not saying that in a sense of a nasty way.
Double entendre.
Yeah, exactly. Wonka wonka. But she got in the car and couldn't believe it. But being my mother in true stubborn fashion, she said thank you, and that was it.
Interesting. You have some stories like that about your dad and your mom with different musicians having some encounters.
Oh, like my father playing guitar with Willie Nelson.
Yeah.
That was interesting. My dad was at a bar. Playing guitar, and it was not a really big bar thing. It was just a small little corner. He had his guitar and he was playing, and in walks Willie Nelson. It was in Austin at the time, and Willie Nelson walks in. Willie asked if it would be okay to join him and play a little guitar, and so my dad and Willie Nelson played guitar together.
Do you ever get that confirmed, or is it sort of like a family legend?
Kind of a family legend, but for me, I like to just keep that family legend in my mind because it's a good memory. Just like the J. Goldstein.
A new softball-sized spider was discovered to remind you that nature is still terrifying. I don't know where it was discovered. Hopefully it's not anywhere near here, because I
No
just
pictures?
imagine how...
No pictures?
See. Oh, well, there's a picture, but I don't know if that's the exact spider. Let's see, where is this thing at? It was back in 2013. These researchers were exploring caves in La Paz, mountains of Mexico, so there might be room for some concern because, Mexico's not far. They said, well, they might as well have stumbled upon a group of facehuggers because it was frightening. It's a spider large as a softball, and it shed an exoskeleton in the cracks of the rock overhead. They saw that. I guess I forget that they do that. Some spiders shed their, and they can leave an intact or almost intact kind of like skin of themselves behind.
Mm-hmm.
That's just crazy that they can still find insects and spiders they've never seen before in this day and age.
Can you give me your power off your laptop?
Can I do that?
Yeah, just unplug the power from the back.
Do you know where the power is?
It's going to be on your left side of your computer. But yeah, I definitely could do.
Can you catch this?
Yeah, I can do without the whatchamacallit spider thing. Freaks me out, man.
We already know that spiders can kill and eat us all if they wanted to. Oh, really? Were they looking? People going around looking for things like that on purpose. I just no.
Sounds like your typical classic horror movie.
Do you know if this is confirmed? Deadpool 2 cast Cable. It's Josh Brolin.
I've heard that is who is going to be playing Cable. I'm just happy to have a new Deadpool movie. Shut up, Stan Lee. But that's how it usually goes.
Yeah, and I still put forward that the success of Deadpool had a huge impact on everything that followed, especially Logan. I think Deadpool being rated R showed them they can still make tons of money at a rated R level.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be, even though Deadpool was funny, it was still gross and violent and, in your face.
I would probably give you that on Logan. As far as the Thor thing, I think the comedy that we're seeing there is probably ramping up with the Guardians of the Galaxy, because that showed that you could do something funny through the whole thing and action-packed and make a lot of money still.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't mind watching like the Avengers films. They've been fairly decent with you and going to see them. I can find something I like, but I didn't really thoroughly enjoy them like I did Deadpool. Well, I still knew nothing about Deadpool. I didn't know his backstory. Never read the comics. I mean, I knew where it came from, but so I wasn't like invested ahead of time. I just enjoyed the movie.
Yeah, you liked him because of his dirty mouth.
No, it's funny.
The language.
No, it was because it was funny. I guess he wouldn't be him if he wasn't doing that, though.
What, the sarcasm?
Yeah, and the language and all the things he talked about.
Well, that's Deadpool. That's his character. He projects himself through, what if the fourth wall, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I guess that's another thing to like about Deadpool. The Thor Ragnarok trailer is officially Marvel and Disney's most watched ever, and it only took one day. Really? Over Star Wars?
Well, I think that might have been a little premature because the Thor thing came out before the Star Wars. I'm sure there's a site that actually measures the trailers, how popular they are. So,
oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Really?
I can't think of where it might be on comingsoon.net. They might do some kind of measuring of popular a trailer is or whatever.
I was going to, because we're in the month of April.
Yeah.
I was going to, if I've still got this link, hold on one second.
Live broadcasting.
Sorry, I just had to bring this up. Because it's pop culture, and you know how, like, February was Black History Month, and March was Women's History Month, and April is Autism Awareness Month, BLT Sandwich Month, Child Abuse Prevention Month, Confederate History Month, Financial Literacy Month, Florida Tomato Month, Grilled Cheese Month, Garlic Month, Keep America Beautiful Month, Lawn and Garden Month, National Humor Month, Jazz Appreciation Month, Occupational Therapy Month, Parkinson's Disease Awareness Month, Pecan Month, Poetry Writing Month, Rape Awareness Month, Sexual Assault Awareness Month, Soft Pretzel Month, Soy Foods Month, and Stress Awareness Month. So let's try to get all those in and be aware of them.
Yeah, all of those. I mean, there comes a time where there is just too much crap in a month. And, I can totally understand where you want to promote certain causes. And by God, BLT is a great cause. But, there's only so much bacon, lettuce, and tomato I can take in a month.
In the month of April is in 1877. April 1877, Edward Shefflin founded Tombstone, Arizona. In April 1934, Bonnie and Clyde killed 2 young highway patrolmen near Grapevine, Texas.
That's up towards Dallas.
So I thought you would be interested in that. In April of 1960, Doc Martens released its first boots.
And they are good boots.
April 1963, ABC premieres General Hospital. April 1970, President Richard Nixon signed legislation to officially ban cigarette ads on TV and radio. April 1976, Apple Computer Company was formed. April 79, Nickelodeon Kid Channel was launched. I didn't realize it was back as far as 1979 for Nickelodeon.
Really? That far back?
Yeah, I know.
79, you say?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that makes sense.
I remember this. Do anybody remember this? April 1997, an April Fool's joke. Pat Sajak hosted Jeopardy, and Alex Trebek hosted Wheel of Fortune.
I recall that.
Let's see. April 1513, Spanish explorer Ponce de Leon lands near what is now called St. Augustine, Florida. That's crazy. 1882, Tombstone reads Jesse James died April 3rd, 1882. Murdered by a traitor and a coward whose name is not worthy to appear here.
Actually, K28th September is Spaceboy Universe Month. So, Surlana, we're heading down the last little bit of time before we actually release our space cadets back into the universe. Shall we do our general housekeeping and remind our audience what's to come in the next several weeks?
Cool. So, next week for the universe?
Yes.
What we got here? I have to turn to see what's behind me. Trying to find an interesting angle on that. So, the whole time I've known you, I've been exposed to the concept of ufology and alien races and all that good stuff. So, I was going to say, I was going to do some research. Okay, supposedly, how many alien, quote-unquote, races are there? And who they are, like a who's and what's what. So, I had stumbled across that about a month ago, accidentally, on YouTube. And I swear to you, I'm going to find this again. There was like this 3 freaking hour video on the different alien races, and it went on and on and on, and it was like done in the non-stop computer voiceover generated computer voice.
English.
An older English gentleman's voice, and it just went on and on and on. It had that monotone weirdness, and it went on. I mean, I fell asleep listening to it.
Will we learn anything about the rom-coms?
Oh God, that's awesome! Those are two brilliant pieces of internet comedy. The races of Star Trek and the races of Star Wars.
But apparently, we're going to do a show next week on the
alien races.
Alien races,
and I'll try to see, if we can come to a grand unification theory on what are the different races.
Right.
And then that's April 22nd, next weekend. April 29th will be an interesting topic. It will be on transhumanism. And I think that's like becoming Borg.
Pretty much.
Half biological, half mechanical. And I think that's scary because if you've got technology embedded on you, can you not be hacked and controlled?
Right.
I just freaky. And then you may go on past April.
Yeah, because
May 6th we're taking that off because we have Comic Palooza. So on May 13th we'll be at Comic Palooza. I guess maybe we might broadcast a little from there, or
we'll probably broadcast a little and
take videos
and do some
maybe some exclusive content,
recorded interviews.
That's far enough to go.
Yeah. So there you go. So for the next several weeks, you have Spaceboy Universe. So it's important that you know that we will be off May 6th, and like Surlana and I are saying,
because we're prepping for the big.
We're prepping for the football game at Lambeau Field, where two teams team off to the tundra of the sports
Are you
event.
spiraling into madness over there?
I'm just doing my little sports thing analogy. So, but yeah, we'll be at Comic Palooza next month. It's a guaranteed, folks. And not only will last year we were there for just one day.
Almost killed me.
Well, we're there for 3 days there.
I may not make it. It'll be interesting.
Well, the nice thing is we'll be centrally, on the floor to where we won't have to run, because the press box was like on the other side of the universe, and then of course, rough. And then plus when I was wearing the astronaut's outfit, which that will return for this event with a little twist to my astronaut's outfit.
I'm going to sneak that mask in.
So anyway, that's what's coming down the pipe. What else you got other than your birthday coming up this next week?
Oh, God, like that even matters. May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, look for me and my cohort to be back, and maybe we'll learn how to make her special margarita recipe live on air, and I'm going to try to make it live on air while we sip margaritas, get drunk, and talk about sci-fi movies.
All right. Well, I guess that covers.
And of course, that's just that one time, and then it'll go back to being Spaceboy Music Night on Fridays.
Surlana's show is the first Friday of every month, so and then I have the other Fridays of the month that have Spaceboy Music, which you can tune in and listen to Spaceboy as he pulls music out of his vault and plays it loud for you. That's Spaceboy Music. Of course, speaking of Spaceboy Music, you can also check out many of the Spaceboy Music songs that are played during that show on spaceboymusic.com. In fact, the latest album of Spaceboy is Unique Technique, and you can get it for a cool $10. That's 17 tracks for $10. So go on over to spaceboymusic.com and support the cause. Speaking of supporting the cause, also support the universe. That when I say that, I say the SBU network, which carries a wide range of all the program you get to listen to here, especially our good friend John Polk, which you can hear his show every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here on the SBU network. So,
and I'm working on something for the universe. Well, it's really for the whole network, but mostly for the universe. And when I get that all set up and ready, I will make an announcement that it'll be a way to deliver more content to the Space Cadets, but slightly more exclusive that will help support us too.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll keep y'all updated on that. It's in the works.
So lots of things, as we always say, coming down the pipe. It's just a matter of give us a little time, and we'll give you the universe. So on that magical note, Surlana, would you like to say goodnight?
Oh, yes.
Spaceboy Universe is hosted by Spaceboy and Surlana. Executive producer is Surlana. Social media producer is Dennis Koch. Associate producer is Lee Ann Cordes. Music production is Spaceboy of SpaceboyMusic.com. Special thanks goes out to Lee Ann K, K28, Mark S, and Bob N. This has been a Spaceboy Universe production. Support the universe by exploring Spaceboy Universe with Spaceboy and Surlana. Sweet dreams, Space Cadets.